I can't wait to look at Yuri again.
Blackberry honey.
Yuri is the server's fuel, apparently now.
And cannibalism.
Yep,
And cannibalism somehow.
it's not
You've
even about tanks
orchestrated.
anymore.
We only cannibalize sometimes.
You've orchestrated your own demise, Dren. Now it's time to face the music.
Mm-hmm. Alright. So I'll read the narrations. The night sky was dark, a few stars twinkled up above, just tiny pinpricks like split granules of sugar. The stars looked so small and far away it tugged at something within the young woman's heart. Was this the same sky her family could see? Were these stars the same stars? Was this moon the same moon? She didn't know. She hadn't seen her family in so long. But she couldn't think about that now. If she did, she was sure she would cry, and she didn't want to do that. She refused. She'd always been stubborn. That was how she'd ended up in this mess.
Is it catching your voice this time?
It should be, yeah.
At least in the test recording it did.
Yeah,
Good.
I think we're good. I'm like super paranoid though, because I don't have to play this a third time. The girl had been riding in the back of a horse-drawn cab for upwards of 14 hours, from 7 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night. Uh-oh. There we go. Her legs, which had been cramped up in a space far too small for them for far too long, hurt. Even as she stood there, doing nothing more strenuous than simply existing, her body trembled. It felt like a mischievous imp was inserting needles into the backs of her legs. She could hear in the distance the sound of horses' hooves striking against the ground. The carriage was lurching away beneath the cover of the night. There was nowhere else for her to go, nowhere for her to run. All she could do was stare at the wrought iron gates before her and the large, imposing house beyond. Lie. It was worlds apart from the girl's home in Liverpool, which she had shared for many years with her mother and two sisters, 3 sisters now, given the recent birth of her youngest, Alice. Little Alice. But she would never be able to see Alice grow up. She swallowed, her throat convulsed. So this was to be her new place of residence, but not her home. She could never call it her home. There was something horribly austere about the place, not helped by the sinister shadows that enveloped everything. The trees in the vast, expansive garden were tall and skinny. They stood sentinel, their boughs waving in the breeze, almost like ghosts. Skeletal soldiers. Bly, with its crumbling walls and darkened windows, seemed like the kind of place that would have a ghost story or two. It had existed long enough, built in the early part of the 17th century, the girl had heard. How many ghosts lurked within those walls? Soon she would find out. Her carpet bag was balanced in the crook of her arm. It was small and had a dent in the side impossible to remove. She knew because she had tried. Hang on, let me read the chat. I am actually not too behind. We feed off other people's souls and flesh, and also watching lesbians. Amazing.
The night breeze is really loud for some reason.
Oh, is it?
I'm playing along
Hang
too,
on.
so I can use your voice as the narrator for my game.
Okay.
Are you enjoying it so far, Eric?
We'll see.
Turn it down. Is that better?
Are you playing it as you're watching, Eric?
Yes, I'm literally like, as he reads the lines, I click, so he's my narrator.
Hmm.
Audiobook.
It cost Eric to get the game, so
Oh, really?
yeah.
Hmm.
I'm gonna get Alex one of them, but there are so many games made by this company that I don't know which one to get him.
He
Hang
wants to
on.
out Yuri me.
Let me actually try something with this stream setup. I saw that you can show who's talking. I think it might be good if I set that up too. Hang on. Is that something you guys would want to see? Because, like, I can't always tell who's talking.
Yeah, if it
With
works
Discord
better for
overlay,
you.
you mean?
Sorry?
Do you mean the talking with the Discord overlay?
Yeah.
Ah.
Um,
Yeah, it might also help you tell as well. So if it works for you.
mm-hmm. Uh, Trend streams, here we go. I can also see how many people are in the call too. Does that work?
I'm
Alright, how do I set
sorry, I'm
this up?
like I don't know Yuri terminology. What does
Yeah.
BL mean?
Boys love.
Down low. Oh, okay. I thought he said L.
What does it mean? I
Boy
don't know
love?
Yuri terminology either.
BL is boys love and GL is girls love. So we have
Okay.
Yaoi and we have Yuri.
Okay.
Hang on. Where's the projector thingy? Here we go. Wait. I don't want multiples of these or it's gonna lag. Okay. Does that look okay?
Looks good over here.
Alright. Her
Beautiful.
carpet... Okay, I read this already. All her worldly belongings were stowed inside that single bag. A few sets of clothes, a hairbrush, an old battered volume of Robinson Crusoe, that was all. There were no toiletries, no jewelry, not even a second pair of shoes. She couldn't afford such luxuries. She was only a maid. A maid at Bly, working in the service of the Leonard family. She'd never met the Leonard family before, but the Pickerings' housekeeper, Miss Mary Ann, had told her they were not so very bad. There was the mistress, Lady Louisa Leonard, the husband, Lord Albert Leonard, who was often away on business trips, and then there was their sole daughter and heir to the family fortune, Lady Constance Leonard. She could handle that much, couldn't she? She hoped so. She had to. She didn't have a choice. She drew in a deep breath. The cold air tugged at her hair and her skirts. Her fingers trembled. They were starting to turn blue. The wind seemed to suck the air out of her lungs. It felt like a cold hand was pressed against her larynx. She choked on her own breath. Her eyes stung. But she wouldn't cry. She'd already told herself she wouldn't. Instead, trying to gather what little scraps of self-confidence she still possessed. You can do this. There's no turning back now. So this is who I will read. Lorena Waugh, only 19 years of age, clutched her bag to her chest and straightened her back. She wasn't one to back down from a challenge. Just how bad could Bly possibly be?
She's got crazy boobs. I just want to say.
Yep. That's how we need to make all the Deep Snow Delivery women.
I'm pretty sure we established that this game is all boobs the first time we played.
Yep. Hang on.
Theodora, still best girl.
Hang on a second. What? God, what did I do to my computer? Hello? I did Control Alt Delete. Wait. Do you guys see anything?
I see the game, but it's like.
Okay, well I don't. Hold on.
It's everything is frozen.
Okay.
Yes, it's frozen here too.
It's
Okay,
like a
I think
brief
we're
moment to
back.
dunk everything in water, and then I'm back.
Okay.
Game's gone.
My
Game's
parents are
back.
not out of the house this time, so.
Ooh, that's scary.
Yeah. When Lorena Wah opened her eyes, she was met with the same dismal sight that had greeted her every morning for the last 4 months. A gray ceiling peppered here and there with ominous cracks, heralding the inevitable day when it would one day collapse under its own weight. For the time being, however, this was where Lorena was to sleep. Her very own bedroom in Bly. Not that it was her bedroom, of course. It was a small, tightly packed attic she shared with 5 of her fellow maids, Isabel, Pauline, Ada, Effie, and the Swiss-born Lysolette. The other maids were arising, stretching and yawning, complaining. Isabel and Pauline were the worst of it. They always complained. Lorena supposed it was very English in a way, but she rather wished they wouldn't. Okay, who's gonna voice her? Any volunteers?
Alexi, you should go.
Why me?
I feel like we've got enough people here for each person to voice someone.
I'm supposed to be voicing
Eric.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be voicing
Eric, no.
Constance.
I believe
Eric,
I'm
how
taking
could
the
you?
role of Tao Hua Li today.
Yeah. I can read them. I can read like the side characters if no one wants to. My
You
head
help
feels
Just
so
make Hannah
thick.
do it.
You want me to do it?
Hannah and Kat.
Okay, sure. Either one of
Alright.
you.
How do you read?
Ugh, my head feels so thick.
How about Kit Kat? You read for her.
Yeah, that tracks. Must mean there's rain coming.
It always bloody rains around here.
Wouldn't it be England without it?
Should I be saying like, oi bruv, it's always bloody raining
Yeah.
around here.
Alright, Eric, you're up.
Hold on, I'm clicking ahead, hold on. I'm falling behind. Which one am I?
Effie. Starts with I like the rain.
Oh, I like the rain.
Good on you, Effie.
Anyone else? Anyone want a voice for her?
I will do Lisa Lutz in German.
Yeah, yes.
Alright, I'll read for her, I guess. Good morning, Lorena. Did we have anyone for her?
Just you, I guess?
Okay. Oh, Lorena stretched and sat up in bed, the thin sheets pulled around her body. The sheets were stained and rarely offered any warmth, not even in the spring. Or wait, no, that's me, never mind. Still, Lorena supposed it was better than nothing. Look on the bright side, that was what her mother would say. There's always a silver lining. Said silver lining being Lorena's fellow maid Ada. Ada was rather young, only a year or so older than Lorena, and the two maids had formed something of an alliance. They were both the oldest sisters in large families, and they both worked in order to support their siblings. The only difference was Ada had 3 younger brothers, Lorena had 3 sisters. Good morning, Ada.
Good? What's so good about it exactly?
It's just a figure of speech.
I don't care what it is. It's blinking ridiculous.
Bad Kafu.
Here. Does anybody want to wake up at 5 o'clock?
Maybe masochists.
I must be a bloody masochist working here. My fingers are shot to pieces. They're shaking. They're shaking. I can't read behind your character.
Oh, hold on. Hold on.
Just ad-lib it. Just add British
They're
slang.
shaking to be able to light the fires like this.
It's all never here. I don't want to like. I can make it a bit smaller. Alright. I feel like it's still gonna be a little cut off either way. Alright, I'll never be able to light the fires like this.
Oh, don't talk about fires. I'm frigid.
Last night was
What's cold? I think your mic cut out. Nice.
You think that was cold? That was nothing compared to the winters in Andermatt.
And in case you hadn't realized, how do I pronounce that?
Lieselotte.
Lieselotte, you're not in Switzerland anymore.
Ah yes, how I miss it. The sun rising over the Alps is truly a sight to behold. I wish you could all see it.
That does sound rather lovely.
They say the air in the Alps is very good for the circulation. I'm sure it would do you wonders.
Do you really think so?
Oh yes, I know so.
Unfortunately, there are no Alps to behold here.
Get your head out of the clouds, laddie, or I'll shove it up a chimney.
You English women are so very witty.
Witty was the last word Lorena would have used in conjunction with Isabel, but she decided to keep that to herself. With a small yawn, the young maid stretched her arms above her head. She was unsure what time it was exactly, but it must have been around 5 o'clock in the morning. Mornings came for the servants of Bly several hours earlier than they did for Lady Leonard and her privileged offspring, Lady Constance. The servants had to wake up at unforgiving hours before even the sun had started to rise. Hang on, reading chat.
Guys, let's jump to the girls kissing.
Kafu does not have a long attention span.
This is not a cafe-friendly game. I thought you thought that.
It is
Dren.
a safe for work game, right? That's what I was told.
It
If
is.
you don't buy a $2 DLC, then yes.
Okay.
Wait, does it cost extra?
Most
I
of the
think it's-
EV games have like a $2 extra 18 plus
Hmm.
thing. It might just be images though.
The servants, yeah. It was their lot in life to scuttle about soundlessly, creeping through the shadowy halls, opening the shutters, polishing the fireplaces, dusting the mantelpieces, and so on and so forth. It never ended. From 5 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock at night, the maids of Bly were fully occupied with their work. There wasn't a single moment where they could sit down and rest. Hang on, let me double check it's recording. Good. I wasn't sure if I screwed something up when I hit Alt F4 initially, but it didn't work. From 5 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock at night, the maids of Bly were fully occupied with their work. There wasn't a single moment where they could sit down and rest. Maybe that was why Isabel and Pauline, who had been maids for longer than the others, were so snappish and irritable. It didn't help that the head butler, Grant Lester, was such a stickler for the rules. He was incredibly strict, perhaps more so than Lady Leonard herself.
Hey, Lorena.
Pauline, who was already dressed, gave Lorena, is it Lorena or Lorena?
I have no idea. I just
Should be Lorena.
I think it's Lorena.
Gave Lorena a disparaging look.
were you planning on getting dressed at some point, or are you just going to sit there?
Lorena scrambled to her feet, throwing the covers to one side. She had been immersed in her idle fancies. She had been so immersed in her idle fancies she had quite forgotten. Pauline sniggered, so did Isabel. I'm sorry, I'm getting ready right away.
Don't apologize to us. Apologize to Mr. Lester when you're late coming downstairs.
Again.
I'm getting dressed right now, I am.
Do you want us to applaud?
We shan't wait for you, you know.
Let's go. We will all be old women by the time she's finished.
But...
That includes you too, Ada.
Well, alright. So sorry, Lorena.
Don't apologize to her, stupid. She's getting scolded. She'll deserve it.
On her hoed head be it.
I understand. Sorry.
Just so you know, we really don't like you.
Sorry.
And you, Lottie, are you coming, or are you still thinking about Switzerland?
I am always thinking of Switzerland. I don't want to be scolded by Mr. Lester. He is so very strict.
Listelet, I forgot. Gave Lorena an apologetic smile.
I will see you later, Lorena. If you ever have cause to feel down, just think of the Alps.
I like to think Lissalette just has an overlay of the Alps on her forehead all the time.
I will. Not that Lorena knew what the Alps looked like. She didn't know very much, really. She'd never had cause to travel beyond the borders of her home country. Being a maid, she'd probably never get the chance. Sorry? Her future was already set in stone. Later that morning. Is this the one you wanted?
Is this the other
Right.
character I'm voicing?
Yep. The annoying one.
Great.
Lady Constance made a show of pondering, index finger tapping against her lower lip before she shook her head.
No, that obviously isn't good enough. The leaves have been eaten by caterpillars. Look.
I can't see anything wrong with it myself.
Then you are blind.
Ooh.
Or perhaps you're just being a little madam. Lorena muttered mutinously under her breath. She knew she wasn't supposed to speak ill of her social betters, though had Lady Constance been one of Lorena's younger sisters, Lorena would have lost her temper Well, if you don't like it, I can always look for another.
See to it that you do. I could not stand having a display of withered roses in my bedroom.
I bet you couldn't.
What was that?
Oh, nothing. I'm just talking to myself.
Well, don't. Mother says it's a sign of madness.
Perhaps she was mad, Lorena mused. She must have been, to take Lady Constance's abuse. If she'd had 1 ounce of sense, she would have slapped Lady Constance right across her smug little face. 12 years old or no, extremely based.
Based.
In fact, it was precisely because Lady Constance was 12 years old that she needed disciplining. If nobody gave her a stern talking to, Lorena feared Lady Constance would become quite an unpleasant person when she got older. Even more unpleasant than she already was. If Lady Constance had been a sweet, innocent child who enjoyed tucking herself into small corners and reading books, she would have been a pleasure to serve. Lorena would have gone out of her way to make life as comfortable as possible for this imaginary Constance. The real Constance, however, was not so lovely. Real little girls never were. Though they were depicted as sweet, delicate angels in plays and poems, the reality was rather different.
Now, maid, try to find me some roses that look nice. It shouldn't be too hard. Joe has strict orders to only let the most beautiful roses bloom in his garden.
Yes, miss.
He willed nature to allow only the most beautiful roses to grow in his garden.
But that was easier said than done. If the roses within Lorena's immediate vicinity were not acceptable for whatever make-believe reason Lady Constance had dreamt up, she would need to search harder. What about the roses that were further back in the thicket? In the thick of it.
Shut up. Shut up.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I hate that.
Hang on. Reading chat.
You weren't gonna say it, I was gonna say it.
Okay. Lorena began to search, brushing some of the roses to one side. The flowers were undeniably beautiful, their pink petals as soft as velvet, but the thorns were numerous. They were sharp and pointed, just waiting to spill blood. Lorena shied away like a reluctant pony, her fingers trembling. The thorns promised pain, and she had no desire to cause herself unnecessary grief. Lady Constance, meanwhile, was unsympathetic. The little girl tutted and sighed and tapped her right foot against the ground, her brown eyes rolling about inside her head the whole while.
A future tyrant.
Yep.
This should be easy, maid. I don't understand why you're taking so long.
It would be easy, Lorena wished she could retort, if somebody was not hell-bent on making this so complicated. But of course she didn't say that, not even under her breath. It wouldn't have been worth it.
Skill issue.
Is this rose to your liking, miss?
No. That isn't good enough at all.
Then this one?
No, I only want the best roses in my room. Anything less would be an insult, unless... Are you trying to insult me?
Yes. Of course not, miss.
Then take this more seriously. You are a maid, aren't you?
Yes, miss. Into the microwave she goes. I like that.
Whoa, we're not cannibalizing children here, Andrew, okay?
Wait, we're not?
That's what this server is
should
all
do-
about. Cannibalism and lesbians.
They're basically
That's-
the same thing.
Cannibalism and
Completely.
lesbians are on a completely opposite side of the spectrum.
Red and blue, the same color.
Yeah.
You should do everything within your power to keep me happy.
Yes, miss.
My roommates are staring at me.
Start
least
doing
it's
your
not your
job
parents.
properly. Are they actually staring?
No.
Yes,
No,
they're
they're-
both staring at
Oh.
me.
I don't see the issue.
Start doing your job properly. I ordered you to pick me the best roses, and that's what I expect. The best roses are the ones right at the back. So you need to look a little deeper.
Throw her in the bush. But miss.
What? Didn't you hear what I just said? I gave you an order.
I
Go
realized
pick it up.
that,
This
but
is no delivery.
sorry?
So go pick it up. This is no delivery.
Is that a Deep Snow Delivery reference?
It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
Are those ears of yours just for show? Were you listening to me? Oh, wait, you were listening to me, weren't you?
Yes, I understand.
You understand what?
I understand, miss.
Why am I playing all the bitchy characters?
I
If
wonder
you
why.
If you understand, start looking. I won't leave until you picked at least one acceptable rose.
It was not intentional, I promise. Yes, miss. Left with no other alternative, the young maid continued her search amongst the flower beds. Her arms trembled, so too did her eyelashes. Her whole body was tense and taut. One wrong move, and she would lacerate her skin, not just one, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 places. Then she would start swearing under her breath and blinking tears out of her eyes. Lorena didn't want to show such a weak side of her character to Lady Constance. She could hardly bear the thought. But that was probably why Lady Constance liked picking on her. Lorena had too much pride, but she got flustered easily and couldn't always stand up for herself. She wasn't like the parlor maid. She would never be like the parlor maid. Not that she wanted to be. The parlor maid was a cold woman, aloof and distant, who only ever spoke to Lorena to pass malicious comments. Her barbed statements slid beneath the skin more effectively than 1,000 thorns from 1,000 roses. The parlor maid's words hurt, and Lorena didn't even know why. It was as though Lorena wanted her approval. She didn't like her. She didn't like her at all. Hang on, reading chat.
Parlor maid was a ghost.
Gloves were invented. She just wanted to torture her. Oh god, the language of love. What is that?
It's the gift from Eric I got because I gifted him Blackberry honey.
Hmm.
I gave him Yuri and he gave me heterosexual love. Somebody help me.
I don't know, looks pretty fruity to me.
You're lucky I didn't get you the $3 18 plus version.
Uh,
Don't tempt me, man. $3 is not a lot.
I'm glad that I don't even have the 18 plus versions.
Why was it then that Lorena's throat felt dry whenever she saw her, and her stomach fluttered, and she couldn't look her in the eye, and she... Ah! Lorena gasped in shock and stumbled away from the rose bush, clasping her hand to her chest. 3 wounds crisscrossed across the back of her right hand. 2 of them were shallow, superficial, oozing droplets of crimson blood no bigger than pinheads, but the other was far bigger. This cut had cleaved a chunk of flesh out of her hand, stripping back the skin like a roll of wallpaper. Lovely.
For a moment, I thought that she was having a heart attack.
Really?
Yeah.
Lorena stared at her hand and then at the ground. There were splotches of blood, her blood, just inches away from her right foot. She shook her head. She felt sick. blood didn't even make Lorena feel faint, but there was quite a lot of it, and she didn't want to smear her apron. And to make matters worse, there was a thorn embedded in the back of her hand. It emerged from the open wound like a piece of thread through the eye of a needle.
Don't bleed all over the flower beds, idiot. What do you think you're doing?
I just,
No, don't tell me. I know the answer. You weren't thinking at all. You maids are really useless. Her name is Constance because she's a constant pain.
Yep.
This is why we beat our
How
children
did you do that to yourself?
respectively.
It was an accident. God, I wish Matt was here to read this.
I'll do my best. Well, I should hope you didn't do it on purpose. That would be quite the foolish thing to do.
Matt has like a super deep manly voice, so I thought it would be funny if he voices her. Lorena glowered, her cheeks flustered. The parlor maid was always cool, calm, and irritatingly aloof. She was as haughty as a cat and constantly seemed to look down on others, but she always accompanied her blatant disregard with a small smile. Lorena never quite felt herself when she was in the company of this unsettling woman. Her gaze made Lorena tremble. It was almost as if everything within Lorena had been misaligned by an inch or so her skeleton no longer fit neatly inside her body. Truthfully, Lorena had been hoping to avoid the parlor maid during this sad state of affairs. In a more perfect world, she would have retreated to the kitchen, cleaned the blood off her hands beneath the sink, and pulled out the offending thorn with minimal fuss, no fanfare at all. That was what she wanted. But life was never that simple. The parlor maid had been in the kitchen already, and Lorena had only realized once she had crossed the threshold, and their eyes had met, and it had been too late to turn about and leave. Why the parlor maid was in the kitchen, and not in the parlor, as her title suggested, was a mystery.
Almost making a sandwich.
It appeared, though Lorena had no intentions of asking her, that she was in the middle of preparing various tea things, arranging several willow patterned teacups and a matching teapot on a tea tray. Was Lady Leonard having guests then? It seemed as good a guess as any.
Say,
What do you want?
I was wondering if I could take a look at your hand.
And why would you want to do that?
Oh dear, so suspicious. I just want to know if I could be of any assistance. You look like you're in pain.
I am in pain. I don't know why you care.
I'm just trying to show an interest. There's nothing terrible about that, is there? You think I'm terrible?
Lorena swallowed. She hadn't expected the sudden inquiry. Why was the parlor maid trying to put words in her mouth? Hang on, let me read the chat.
Oh, you
I
really
just noticed
shouldn't.
that all of their pupils are like really brightly weird colors.
That's true. Wait, why shouldn't I read the chat? Hold on.
You shouldn't.
Too late.
Dren won't have a single moment of peace if you don't stop. Yep. Her love like poison. Oh god, is this another one you guys are gonna force me to play?
Oh my god.
We didn't force you to play Blackberry, honey. It's all out of your own volition.
That's an
I-
expensive one.
I mean, I'm
Oh,
not
no,
just
it
gonna
is.
not play a game that people buy for me though, you know?
That's why I'm playing Blackberry Honey right now.
Yep. Also, like Faye and Ver wanted me to play this and they're mods, so like I figured as like a thank you. It sucks they're not here though, but they were here last time, but it didn't
They
record
got
last time.
the special first viewing, so they got
Yep.
the one that people won't get to see.
Yep.
She should be up soon.
Hmm. I never said that.
Then stop being foolish and let me help you. You cannot expect to perform satisfactory first aid yourself. Not with one hand. It can't be done.
But you have work to do.
I always have work to do. It can wait.
But Lady Leonard,
Won't mind if her tea is a minute or two late, I'm sure.
she'd mind if I was the one who had to deliver it.
But you are not, and I am, and it is different.
That's right, it is different, isn't it?
Now don't look so down. I'm just stating the facts. There's no need to sulk.
I'm not sulking.
Not anymore. You're angry with me, aren't you?
Average Sigma female versus.
I made the joke in the last stream that like, I forget which character, but like one of them is like the Patrick Bateman of lesbians. She's literally me, guys. Lorena opened her mouth, closed it again, her face turned even redder. The parlor maid laughed.
You're so easy to read, Lori.
Lori?
That's right, Lori.
Nobody calls me that.
I just did.
I wish you wouldn't.
We can't all have what we want, but if you try sometime, you just might find you'll get what you need.
I'm aware of that, thank you very much. Lorena frowned. So the parlor maid knew her name, though she insisted on using a silly nickname for whatever reason, but Lorena didn't know hers. Maybe she should have done, considering she had been at Bly for 4 months, but the parlor maid's name was strange and foreign. It was difficult to get her tongue around. Why should she
Something
need...
easy like Sam.
Yeah. Why should she need to know her name anyway? They weren't friends. Lorena wanted nothing to do with with the insufferable woman. But all the same...
Ooh.
What are you doing?
Taking care of you, like I said I would.
But why?
Because I don't believe you can take care of yourself.
That's quite an assumption to make, and not a very polite one either.
Why should I worry about being polite? I'm polite enough to Lady Leonard, so I don't think she deserves it. One gets awfully tired of minding their manners all the time. You agree with me, don't you?
That's besides the point.
So you do agree. How lovely. Now hold still.
The parlor maid's hands were smooth and soft, and her fingers were slender. They were the hands of an artisan. Now those hands were holding Lorena's. Lorena felt herself shivering, and not just because of the pain. Her right hand was still bleeding, though gently. The bloodshed was so slow and lackadaisical. Lackadaisical. That's a fun word. It was almost relaxing.
Now what is this?
The parlor maid's lips were inches away from the shell of Lorena's ear. Her breath tickled.
Is this a thorn?
Lorena nodded dumbly.
How did you do this to yourself? Did you fall into a rose bush?
Is she close to her ear while she's looking at her ear?
The CG could only cover so much.
Yeah. It wasn't intentional.
Then you were pushed.
You could say that, I suppose. That's extra points for me in English class. You could say that, I suppose.
Was this one of Lady Constance's whims?
Yes, she wanted me to pick some roses for her, but I
Got hurt in the process.
evidently. The parlor maid clicked her tongue against the roof of her mouth.
Lady Constance doesn't care for flowers, you know. She's exceedingly careless, girl.
I'm aware of that.
Then why did you go along with her selfish request? She was only trying to make you miserable, and it seems she was successful. Look what has happened to you. What you let happen.
That's gaslighting.
I beg your pardon?
You heard what I said.
I did, but you couldn't have meant it.
Why not?
I didn't let this happen. I didn't want to cut myself. I just...
You just... what?
I
just had a bad roll of luck that day.
Lorna opened and closed her mouth, but no words came out. When she needed them the most, they abandoned her.
Ah, I see. No response is forthcoming. How disappointing. Anyway, let me attend to this.
I never asked you to.
But I will, because if I don't, it will get infected and you will get sick.
Fine, go ahead.
This will probably hurt. I hope you're prepared.
Do your worst.
Just a thorn.
Just bites her hand. Sucks the blood out. Nom, 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 nom.
Just starts eating her at the hand. Cutting off the finger.
Do your worst.
Have to amputate it.
Oh, was that a challenge?
Take it however you want.
I believe that is your role, my little Lori.
What do you... Lorna jumped. A sharp burst of pain flared up in her afflicted finger, as though a match had been struck against it. I can't wait to edit this, and I'll add like absolute screaming and agony.
Bone crunching sounds.
I'll cut the like Outlast screams into this. Then all of a sudden,
There we go. That should take care of it.
the parlor maid pulled the thorn free. Blood began to trickle from the cut. It looked brighter than ever. So red it was almost dizzying.
Oh, delicious.
Almost.
Now let's get you cleaned up.
What if she cleaned her up like a cat?
Oh god.
It would take a while.
Lorena followed, obedient as a child, as the parlor maid led her to the ceramic sink. There, she turned on the tap, and a steady stream of water began to flow.
This might sting a bit, but you can handle it, can't you?
Kafu says, "Am I the only one that likes how blood tastes, genuinely?"
Blood is very tasty.
It's like licking rust. No.
Yeah.
I'm neutral on blood. I could do with or without it.
I
I
could
wouldn't
do with her
sneak it out,
without
but
it with
like, I
dinner.
have a cut. I don't have any issues like mending to it.
Yeah.
Blood is tasty.
Wait, did you
Willis
read
goes back
this?
to cannibalism.
Yep.
This might sting. I thought I read that. This might sting a bit, but you can handle it, can't you?
Not cannibalism.
I thought so. You're a big girl. Christ.
Yeah, she's
Par-
big, alright.
The parlor maid's small smile did not abate, even as Lorna's fingers spasmed beneath the water. Lorna glared at her beneath her eyelashes. Her shoulders trembled. You.
Yes? What is it, dear?
Lorna gritted her teeth together. The words bubbling up within her breast were treacherous. She would never have been able to say such things to Lady Constance or Lady Leonard for fear of losing her job, but she could say them to the parlor maid. The parlor maid was the only one Lorna could take her anger out on. I don't like you at all.
Oh wow, so much anger.
You really, really thought about that one all night. Oh dear, how sad.
The parlor maid sighed.
How could you say that when I'm trying to help you?
You don't want to help, you just want to gloat.
I think you're misunderstanding something, my little Lori.
What?
Unlike you, I don't do things unless I want to.
Oh!
But you can't live life like that. You're supposed to be a maid. Answering the whims of others is your purpose in life.
I will decide my own purpose in life, thank you. Now hold still.
Lorena's blood continued to splash against the white ceramic basin of the sink. The water soon washed it away, muting the color until no more trace remained.
Now you can stop spilling Kool-Aid everywhere.
Yep. Well,
You
that
could have
settles
put it in a
that.
glass.
Well, that settles that.
Oh, sorry. The parlor maid took a neat step backwards, running a hand through her dark hair. The action seemed carefully calculated somehow, and it made Lorena feel uneasy. Everything about the older woman was unsettling.
And don't worry, there's no need to thank me.
I wasn't going to, and I still can't stand you.
I know that only too well. If you cared for me in any way, you might have tried to remember my name. Oh well.
I still forget her name.
How much older is she than Lorena?
No idea.
For future reference, it's Tao Hua.
Older Chinese woman?
How?
Tao Hua. Not that you care. I like how I'm saying so confidently. It's not.
That's pretty correct, I think.
The 2nd of April,
No, careful.
Saturday. Is that a Toho reference?
That's what I was thinking too. I was like,
Akura Reimu.
I'm gonna accidentally call her Toho at least once.
Yep. Oh shit, did I read that? Hold on. Several weeks passed, and Loretta had been trying to avoid Lady Constance as much as possible. Lady Constance had always been petty and vindictive, but she seemed even more so as of late, and Lorena didn't want to get caught up in her silly temper tantrums. And Lady Constance wasn't the only one Lorena had been skirting around. There was also the parlor maid. Toho. Her name was Toho. Not that Lorna wanted to remember it. She'd far rather forget her. Lorna didn't want to remember how Toho's fingers had trailed gently across her palm, or the soft whisper of her voice, or the strangely intoxicating scent of orange peels and bergamot that clung to her skin and hair. And she certainly didn't want to remember her withering stare or derisive tone.
money shot.
Memory.
I
Look
was
what
gonna
has
say
happened
this
to
just
you.
happened.
Instant replay.
What you let happen.
How stuck up, like you're so perfect. Lorena grit her teeth together so hard the enamel threatened to crack and turned over in her bed. The springs of her mattress creaked. Mm. The icy air
Nice.
The icy air nipped Lorena's fingers and toes, making them twitch. As per usual, her blanket offered no warmth.
Real bachelor lifestyle here.
Yep.
Oh,
Who is she again?
Unedited. Could it really be?
Solet?
How do you say it again?
Lisolet?
Lieselotte
Lieselotte.
Lisolata?
was curled on her side, arms wrapped around her pillow, her long flaxen hair spilled across her bed. Some of it trailed onto the floorboards, Rapunzel-like. She was dreaming about the Alps again. She was always dreaming about the Alps. At least some things never changed. Lorena watched her picking out Lieselette's delicate features in the dark, her pale eyelashes, her snub nose, her pursed lips, her long hair. DSD is just the continuation of Blackberry honey.
It's their distant relatives.
Hello. Lorena could imagine the children of Andermatt brushing Lieselette's hair for her, then threading it through with flowers, orchids, violets, and delicate purple primulas,
Hello, Faputa.
like something from a fairy tale. Lieselette really did look like a princess. The other maids, meanwhile, were slightly less flattering in their slumber. Pauline snored, Isabel shifted, perpetually restless. Effie had a tendency to lay so silent and still, like some kind of wax effigy. Lorena always feared she had died. Ada, meanwhile... The young maid had weak lungs, and her soft, gentle snores were cracked and hissy. Her breathing was labored during the day, but it was even worse at night. She sounded less like a young girl than an old man. Lorena often felt sorry for Ada. Walking up a single flight of stairs was often enough to make her double over, gasping for air that her lungs seemed determined to reject. It could always be worse, Lorna muttered. She could be Ada. At least she wasn't Ada.
Ooh.
Jeez.
Toho didn't sleep in this small, draughty attic room, which was termed the Virgin Quarters by the unpleasantly snickering footman. Hang on, let me read
like
the
a
chat.
fraternity.
Yep.
It's time for your initiation.
The Rose Garden was just the hazer.
Pretty much, yeah.
I remember my initiation.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah,
What
I'm a maid.
happened?
Did you know that?
Toho
I went to
was
school for this.
Toho was unique, worlds apart from the plain, boring English maids of Bly, or European in Lieselette's case. Toho's skin was a touch darker, her irises strikingly green, and her hair was black and silky. A rare flower surrounded by weeds. She was too special to mix with the other maids, too important to befriend them, too aloof to even try.
Alexis?
Mama, Papa, Daisy too. I missed you so.
Toho was graceful and composed, while Lorena was awkward and flustered easily. Lorena couldn't imagine Toho ever allowing Lady Constance to boss her around. But that didn't mean she could treat Lorena so poorly. Toho had handled Lorena carefully, like she was some kind of precise instrument, yet she had insulted her at the same time. It was confusing.
Andermatt. My Andermatt. It has been years, and yet...
What kind of name was Toho anyway? Lorena had never heard it before. She could
Ho-ho
I feel like
project.
Izumoto would be speaking in Swiss German in her sleep, because that's her first language.
She couldn't
I mean-
understand it either. Hang on. If she couldn't understand the name, how on earth could she ever hope to understand the woman attached to it? Lorena didn't want to understand her. She hated her. Didn't she?
You're thinking about her in a dark room while everybody's asleep.
Yeah. Lorna bit down on her lower lip and turned over once more. She didn't care how tangled her hair got. She turned again and again and again, but no matter how she tried, she couldn't get comfortable. Just when her eyelids were starting to feel heavy, and she could almost imagine herself slipping into the land of slumber.
I never wish to leave. I cannot. This is where I belong.
Lysolette chose that moment to declare rather loudly, for a sleep talker, her continued allegiance to her beloved Andermatt. Apparently I talk in my sleep. There have been times when I wake up shouting things.
Andermatt is the regime.
Lorena's left eye twitched. Fine, 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 I'm getting up.
Oh, Andermatt.
Shut up. Lorena sat up, her hair a disheveled mess, and glanced at Lysolette. Even in her sleep, Lysolette looked perfect. Her face glowed with health, and her flaxen hair was full of life.
That's what happens when you have the Alps to think about.
Yeah. Maybe it was because of Andermatt. If
Maybe
Lorena...
it's labeling. Maybe it's Andermatt.
If Lorena had been born amongst the mountains and spent her youth picking flowers and milking cows, perhaps her cheeks would have permanent roses too. Then again, maybe not. Lorena sighed and massaged her temples with her fingers. She needed to talk to somebody, but who? Everyone was asleep. Then, in that case... a letter. Yes, that seemed like a sensible solution. Lorena missed her mother. She missed her a good deal. She missed her sisters too, Ethel and Mary. She even missed little Alice, who had been only 2 years old the last time Lorena had set eyes on her.
Is that another Toho reference?
Wait, what?
Oh, it's one of the characters.
Oh, I haven't actually played Toho. Maybe I should. Hang on a second.
Good luck.
Bullet hells are crazy. Have good luck with that.
I played Undertale.
It's not the same.
Yeah, no, it's exactly the same.
If you've
It's
beaten Sans, I think you can handle
I
Bullet
have
Hell
beaten
and Toho.
Sans. Sans? Okay, so I watched the Sans fight on YouTube a bunch of times, but then when I played it, it was surprisingly easy for me because I guess I just memorized most of it.
It depends on the game you start with. The newer games are a lot easier with new mechanics. The older games are destructively hard.
I would want to
I
play
played
the
the
most
older
difficult
one.
ones.
I played the older one, so I have memories of those.
Do you want
Perfect.
the fighter ones? That would be brutal.
The fighter ones are very fun. Perfect Cherry Blossom kicked my butt.
She would be 5 now. I do really love the music from Toho. I like Undead Corporation. They make a bunch of metal remixes of Toho songs. Time really did fly.
Time sure as flies when you're having fun.
The 3rd of
When you're
April,
having-
Sunday. Hang on a second.
This is me.
Yeah,
This has to be
definitely.
me. One of you say unto them, depart in peace, be warmed and filled.
Warmed, was it? To Lorina's frigid, frostbitten ears, that was a pleasant idea indeed. The maid shifted on her pew, her fingers linked together on her lap. The wooden pew was icy and seemed to bleed all the heat from her thighs, though they were pressed together. It was miraculous, really, that St. Mary's Church was so bitterly cold all the year round, despite the large amount of human bodies crammed into it. But perhaps the culprit behind the pervading chill was not the weather after all. It was the venerable vicar, one Reverend Manor. When he surveyed his congregation, peering at them with the intensity of one trying to discern the oxygen within the air, all heat seemed to evaporate from the room. His eyes were such a striking pale blue, Lorena was half tempted to believe that they contained within them shards of ice.
Notwithstanding ye, give them those nothings which is needful to the body. What doth it profit?
What doth it profit indeed? Lorena wasn't entirely sure, but the Reverend Manor made this rhetorical question seem of the utmost concern. The Reverend paused once more. He was fond of inserting large pauses into his sermons, to let his eyes sweep amongst the assembled men and women in their Sunday finest. Not that Lorena, being a maid, had any Sunday finest. Her maid's outfit, supplied by the Leonards, was the most sophisticated item of clothing she owned. Consequently, that was what she was wearing. Lorena knew some of the most esteemed men and women of the St. Mary's Parish derided her for her choice in wardrobe, but she had little else to choose from.
Even so faith, if hath not works, is dead, being alone.
But by goodness, the church really was cold. Lorena wasn't the only one attempting and failing to cease her squirming. Ada was in a similar predicament. She was shifting here and there to encourage the circulation to her legs. The maids of Bly sat together during the service. Ada was on one side of Lorena, Pauline on the other, Isabel, Lyslette, and the ever inscrutable Effie made up the rest of Bly's petty maids, as might be expected, but they were all sitting in a row. Not that Pauline was particularly pretty, she'd always reminded Lorena of a horse. Damn.
A man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works.
Lady Leonard and Lady Constance were also in attendance, though they weren't seated with the maids. The maids of Bly were relegated to pews near the back of the church, while the upper echelons of society were seated at the front. Should the apocalypse truly occur, Lorena had no doubts the rich and the beautiful would be ushered up to the pearly gates first. That was just how things seemed to work.
Shew me thy faith without thy works, and I will shew thee my faith's be by my works.
But there was one servant of the Leonard house who was conspicuously absent. Toho. Though Bly's other servants, all 23 of them, from the cook to the valet to the coachman, attended the Sunday service religiously, Toho had never once seen fit to make an entrance. Hang on, reading time. Alright. Lorena doubted whether that woman had placed so much as a single toe over— is that a Toho reference? Over the threshold of St. Mary's before, but she was not particularly distraught over her absence. It made it easier to focus. Whenever Toho was around, Lorina's heart started to flutter. Her cheeks flushed. She found herself feeling quite unlike her usual self. The letter residing in her pocket, folded neatly and placed within the confines of a brown envelope, was proof enough of that.
Thou believest that there is one God. Thou dost well. The devils also believe and tremble.
Lorina herself started to tremble. That woman was no Christian. One merely had to look at her to gauge that much. Her peculiar skin, her peculiar eyes, her long black hair. There was something decidedly unsettling about that woman, even more so than the tone of Reverend Manner's voice, or Marner. But for whatever reason, Lorina couldn't stop thinking about her.
She is possessed by the devil, ye god.
Yuri! I'm still not used to the church service of you English.
What was it much different in Andermatt?
Well,
Lysolette pondered, tapping one finger against her lower lip.
it was more or less the same, I suppose. But I rather miss hearing the stories about Saint Verena.
Who is he?
He? Oh my, I see you English are not familiar with Saint Verena after all.
I'm sorry, I haven't heard of them. It doesn't ring a bell.
Saint Verena is a Swiss saint. She used to be a nurse and she devoted her life to spiritual and physical care of young girls. Apparently she was also very pretty.
Lysolette beamed and clasped her hands together.
I too wish to live a pure and devout life as a good Christian, just like my favorite saint.
You have a favorite?
You have a favorite
sorry.
saint?
God, I'm losing it. I'm trying to like read the chat and pay attention at the same time. Hold on. Evil tanned skin desert witch, 500 kilometers. Someone tell Mines to get in here. Okay.
Surely, if one wants to be a good Christian, you shouldn't pick favorites.
Oh, I know, Papa said much the same, but I can't help myself. He is depicted in a stained glass window in the Church of St. Peter and Paul in my Andermatt, and she looks very kind and benevolent, not to mention her hair.
So you like this Swiss saint solely for her looks?
That's awfully shallow, Lottie.
It isn't shallow, at least not entirely.
There's nothing wrong with liking pretty girls.
Yuri. Exactly, I support any saint who concerns herself with the welfare of maidens like ourselves.
Sadly, I'm a woman, not a maiden.
And you're
Next to doubt.
maidenless.
Maidenless.
No maidens?
I think I'm a touch too old for your holy saint Verena.
Saint Verena would not discriminate, I'm sure.
All right. You're starting to sound like a saint yourself.
Saint Lottie.
I think Lysolette might make a nice saint.
She's nice enough, but I doubt she can perform any miracles.
None of us can.
You know, I wouldn't mind being a saint. I've always wanted to appear on a stained glass window.
You would look very nice.
You think?
It would suit you better than me.
Now, pride is a deadly sin, Lottie.
What? Really?
I think so.
You will be going to heaven with that attitude. Damn.
Oh my. I do not wish to cause any offense.
The maids of Bly continued in this manner as they walked through the streets of Ellesmere, their feet striking against the ground. Lorina's skirt swirled about her ankles, the letter inside her pocket rustling with each step. Ah, the letter. Lorina had been so taken in by Lyslet, she'd almost forgotten. Oh, do excuse me. There's something I need to do before I return.
Something you need to do, Sounds rather suspicious.
I promise it won't take a minute.
If you're late by so much as 30 seconds, you'll be in for the high jump.
Mr. Lester runs a tight ship, you know.
You should know. You're the one who always gets in trouble.
Pauline wouldn't know. She isn't tight.
I'm aware. I'll be as quick as I can.
Not that it really concerns us, but...
The corners of Pauline's lips formed an unpleasant smirk.
A horse-faced smirk. If you're late back, Lorena, we won't come for you. Or we won't cover for you. My reading is fucking up.
I know. And so the gaggle of maids left Lorina behind.
What a gaggle of... like bird.
Thoughts of Toho, or Tilly as Lorina had oh so cleverly termed her in the letter, weighed heavily upon the young maid's mind. She had to get a second opinion. It had been impossible to think about anything but the older woman during the service. So consumed by Toho she's just playing Toho in church, and still was, she failed to realize where she was walking. Ow. Until it was too late. Lorina recoiled, holding a hand to her cheek. Her jaw hurt. Had she just quite literally walked into somebody?
Bum, bum, bum.
Okay, who is gonna read these people?
I would.
Alright, you wanna be her?
My, you should watch where you're going, dear. You might cause somebody some serious harm. Nothing to say. Cat got your tongue.
How do you pronounce the star?
Lorina flustered and glanced down at the ground. It didn't help the woman she'd walked into was rather pretty. She had brown hair that put Lorina in mind of chestnuts. Her attire, meanwhile, was much like that of a schoolteacher, with a white blouse and a long, sensible skirt. She didn't look too dissimilar from Miss Amy. Amy? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Lady Constance's governess.
It's French, I don't know.
Neither was she alone.
Whoa.
The next child.
Beatrice from ReZero? What are you doing here?
This looks like someone Hannah should voice.
Oh no.
Yes.
A blonde girl with a disagreeable scowl stood by the woman's side, her hands planted firmly against her hips. Upon closer inspection, Lorina realized she knew these women. She'd never spoken to them before, but she had seen them in passing on more than one occasion. They frequented the Sunday services at St. Mary's too. It was a small world after all, and Ellesmere was smaller than most. A smirk captured the older woman's lips. She surveyed Lorina with undisguised amusement. Now that I look at you properly, you are rather
Which one is this?
Brown-haired
one, I think it's you.
I think me.
I think her.
Now that I look at you properly, you are rather lovely.
Lovely, I am.
Indeed, I'm quite fond of soft, shy girls.
Well, damn.
Whoa.
Oh, please.
So it's fun to play with, you know.
Whoa!
Do give it a rest.
The shorter girl rolled her eyes empathetically in the manner of one who must have practiced the gesture a good deal before a full-length mirror.
You should restrict your playing solely to the violin.
I know, but when faced with a sweet young thing like this, how can I resist?
You'll have to do your best. You know what Reverend Marner says.
Bits of hellfire and eternal damnation. Yes, I know.
Honestly, you need to start leaving pretty girls alone.
Ooh, that's so boring.
The young girl pulled a face.
Do you even listen when you attend church, or is your head off in the clouds?
I prefer to hum a little Bach under my breath, while the venerable reverend goes on and on. It is true.
Big sister.
The younger sister shook her head. Her expression was incredulous.
You are impossible.
Indeed.
Excuse me? I apologize if I was in the way, but I have somewhere I need to be.
Standing there.
Alright, I'm sorry. Well, run along then. I trust I will be seeing you in due course.
What does she mean by that?
A mischievous
watching.
smile. Hang on, let me read the chat. Heaven is overrated. Crawl out of hell and haunt straight women in dates so they become lesbians. Well, I select my spirit animal. See, she's the Patrick Bateman of lesbians. Mine's just playing Marvel Rivals again. I don't know why he plays that game. It seems like it just pisses him off.
It's part of this experience.
He should come marvel at these rivals.
I feel like everybody has a game like that where it's like a fighting game that you get addicted to for a period of your life.
Yeah. Hannah voices all the bullies. Yes, all the annoying characters.
Miss Lorena Raw.
Wah?
War.
Boy,
What?
you
Wah!
Wow.
get some rubbing.
Wow, Luigi. The 4th day of April, Monday.
Luigi.
It was Monday, and Lorna found herself occupied with the arduous task of doing the laundry. The housekeeper, Miss Alicia Smithy, Had-
I want to say Smythe because
Smythe.
Smythe would be funnier.
had stripped a pile of bed sheets from the innumerable unnecessary guest rooms in Bly. These sheets had not been slept in for years, and Lorena doubted they would be put to use in the immediate future. Why then did she have to wash them? To the young maid, it seemed like nothing more than pointless busy work. Miss Smythe's orders, however, were absolute. The washing was always done on Mondays. Miss Smythe was a stickler for it. It was an unwritten rule at Bly. But perhaps it was not so unwritten after all, because Miss Smythe had read about it in Ethel Wood's popular practical housekeeping guide.
When
In
you
any
say
event,
Miss Smith?
sorry?
Or the name, I just...
Hmm.
pronunciation.
Saying Smythe for the funny.
Life.
In any event, Lorna had managed to progress to the 3rd stage of the long, laborious chore. She was boiling the linens in soapy water, stirring them with a wooden stick.
Dick.
Ha. Lorena sighed deeply. It didn't make her feel any better. This would be far easier if she had help. But Pauline, who was supposed to aid her, had swanned off a good 20 minutes or so ago. Lorena had no idea when, or indeed if, she would return. That Pauline, she was always shirking her duties, all the while complaining about how very hard she worked. Lorena would like to give her a taste of her own medicine. If only she could become an avenging Valkyrie. But alas, she was just a maid. She gritted her teeth together. The smell of the blood linens felt in her nostrils. It wasn't particularly
Cannibalism
pleasant.
reference?
Yeah. Washing clothes never was. Curse Miss Smythe for her draconian rules, and cursed Esselwood for her stupid practical housekeeping guide, and most of all cursed Pauline for being so incredibly infuriatingly useless.
Ooh.
Lorena's forearms hurt, her forehead beaded with sweat, her hair stuck to her skin. Why was she always charged with the most physically draining of tasks? Maybe it was because she was still the new girl. Maybe it was because of Pauline's underhanded dealings. Maybe it was because Lady Constance didn't like her. Maybe it was a mix of all three. But there were also rumors to take into account. They couldn't have helped. Perhaps this was supposed to be some sort of punishment. Everyone seemed to know what had transpired between Lorena and the Pickering family, even Lady Constance, and speaking of which...
I've
Oh,
gotta
no.
go. You guys have fun with the rest of the
Alright,
Yuri.
see you.
Oh man.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I just want to point out, she looks very similar to the other lady that I'm voicing.
Yep.
Are you
Not
enjoying
at all.
yourself, mate?
Shouldn't you be in the drawing room with Miss Amy?
Ami.
I'm me.
Me.
Where I go and what I do with my spare time is no concern of you. They're right.
I suppose it isn't, no.
What you do with your time, however, is a concern of mine. It concerns me greatly. Are you working, or are you just standing there?
I was taking a short break, miss. My arm started to hurt.
Your arms starting to... Oh, your arms hurt. Oh, how terrible. I'm so sorry. Your arms hurt.
Skill issue.
This is your job, maid. I have no sympathy for you or your complaint. You are a machine.
Lorena couldn't believe that quite easily.
Now I must be on my way, but if you think about taking another ill-deserved break, you know what will happen, don't you? Straight to the dungeon.
Just points to like her throat.
I have a vague idea, miss.
Good. Then you're not as stupid as you look.
And with a selfish little smirk, the young mistress turned and picked her way through the rose garden. It looked like she was searching for something, but what?
The blood.
Yep. Lorena watched with mild interest, her lips pursed together. Well, like Lady Constance had said, it was none of her business, really. The 5th of April.
Wait, did she move in on April 1st?
Was it April 1st? It might have been, actually.
That's kind of a sad joke. You to work as a maid, and that's what happens on the 1st of April.
Lori, have you heard the news?
It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water.
No.
Oh no, now everyone's gonna call me Lori. I'm talking to myself, now I've really lost it. What news? Lorena, who had divested herself of her maid's garments, was and was in the midst of folding them, glanced over her shoulder and looked at Ada. Ada was sitting on the edge of her bed, still in her uniform. Her brown hair was tied into two stubby braids that rested against her shoulders. Though Ada had worked at Bly for longer than Lorena, and had subsided on paltry meals for several years, her facial features had always been rounded. She was short of stature, shorter even than Lorena, with a flat nose, rotund cheeks, and plump thighs. Thick.
Nice!
Pauline and Isabel frequently teased her about it, and one of the footmen, a smug man with a rakish, wicked look, called Ada Miss Piglet whenever she was within earshot. Based.
Whoa.
That was a
That's
joke.
so mean.
That was a joke. Lorena, however, thought Ada's outward appearance suited her personality to a T. Her body was soft and warm, just like she was.
Aw.
This will probably sound silly, but last night, or for a few nights actually, I've been hearing some strange noises. Strange noises? Like what? It's hard to explain. Footsteps, I suppose. Is that so?
Is that so?
Oh, sorry. Larslet, who had been combing her long hair, set the brush aside and chipped in excitedly.
I've been hearing much the same. It has quite disturbed my beauty sleep.
That was Eric. Alright, who should voice her?
Who's in here who's willing to sacrifice themselves? If anybody.
Any one of the silent people?
If not, I'll do it.
I mean, I can do it too.
Yeah, I'll just save myself for the French one when that comes around.
You know what they say.
What do they say?
No rest for the wicked.
Think the source of these noises may be wicked? Oh my! Do you think perhaps it is a ghost?
I hope not. I mean, I've never seen a ghost before, but I've heard they're quite scary.
Oh, marvelous.
How exactly is that marvelous?
Because ghosts are so very romantic, you see.
I'm afraid I don't follow.
Ah, yes, Casper, the most romantic ghost.
How can you not? You're English. Your country is renowned for its ghost stories, yes?
I think it's a lot of nonsense myself.
Perhaps, but imagine, to love life so much you cannot stand to be parted from it. Even when your body goes cold. Is that not wonderful? Tasty.
Larslet, even with her Swiss sensibilities, had quite a curious understanding of the word wonderful.
I've heard many ghost stories in my time. But to experience haunting in person, oh, it would be divine. I could ask for nothing more. Ghost
Then I'll
fucker.
keep my eyes peeled for any ghosts, but I'm a bit doubtful. Hee. You're so admirable, Lorena. What do you mean? Well... Ada's cheeks flushed light pink. Thank you for taking me seriously. A lot of people don't, but that's probably my fault. I'm always imagining things, silly things, and I lose focus.
Quite. You always forget to sweep the staircase properly, Ada.
I'm sorry.
As you should be. Mr. Lester gave me an earful about the staircase earlier, and I wasn't the one... What's behind that?
I wasn't the one who...
I wasn't the one who's been assigned to clean them.
Good
But
issue.
please forgive me.
I shan't. My back certainly shan't, and at least I had to pick up after your mess. Again, And I'm getting too old for all of this malarkey. And that isn't all.
It's certainly not.
The carpets are still filled with dust after you beat them.
And you couldn't polish your way out of a paper bag.
How did you become a maid anyway?
Giggle, giggle.
Mhm.
I don't want to cause any offense. Ada bit her plump lower lip and hung her head. She looked so defeated, Lorena scowled. You don't need to apologize, Ada. Lorena? I'm standing up for myself. Lorena had never cared for Pauline and Isabel. Between the two of them, they were just as bad as Lady Constance, but they were not rich enough to afford their airs and graces.
Shut up, Pauline, you poor horse-faced cow.
They were simping, and sycophantic around Mr. Lester. I wonder, is that like the origin of the word simp? Around Mr.
Possible.
Lester and Miss Smythe, but they were downright cruel to their fellow maids simply because they could be. In a way, perhaps they were even worse than Lady Constance. At least she was unfailingly rude and impolite to everyone, regardless of their social status.
At least she was an equal opportunity, evil bitch.
Yep. You too. Lorena rounded on Pauline and Isabel. Hardly have a right to lecture Ada.
Oh, what's this? Are we touch a nerve?
Are you going to cry about Lorena?
Let me drink your tears.
No, I am not going to cry, but I am going to ask you to give it a rest.
What a shame.
You two hardly deserve to take the moral high ground when you waste so much time gossiping. If Mr. Lester gets mad at you, that's your problem. It has nothing to do with Ada.
The Lester from GTA.
Oh, so you're trying to scold us. Is that it, Lorena?
That's right, I'm scolding you because you deserve to be scolded. I'd treat my younger sisters exactly the same if they'd done anything wrong. Lorena, you don't need to. Oh, shush, Ada. Ada might have seen Lorena as some kind of hero, like the valiant John d'Arc, John d'Arc, but that wasn't entirely true. Lorena wasn't that selfless, but she had more than a handful of her own grievances to air. You two have been difficult to work with ever since I can remember. Whenever you're meant to help me with anything, you wander off like you're too good to get your hands dirty. Where were you when we were supposed to be doing the laundry this morning, Pauline? Where exactly did you go? Pauline, for her part, looked unmoved by Lorena's anger. Instead, she smiled smugly, her arms crossed about her middle.
I received a summons from Miss Smythe. You had another, more urgent task for me to attend to.
That's what you say. Lorena's eyes flashed. But I don't believe you.
Oh, Lorena. Poor paranoid Lorena, or it's Lorena. I keep forgetting.
I don't know. Pauline smirked. She didn't look remotely moved by Lorena's emotional appeal. If anything, she looked even crueler than before.
You just don't understand.
What is it I don't understand exactly?
You should be thankful that I deigned to spend time with your kind at all. After all, who would willingly consort with a slut?
The 10th of April, my birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
It took a week before Lorena's mother replied to her letter. During this week, Lorena attended to her daily chores in an unspeakably foul mood. Pauline's unpleasant accusation had been enough, but Ada's concerns over the ghost of Bly continued. The young maid was so anxious over this supernatural specter, encouraged in part by Lyslet, that she was unable to sleep during the night and had stolen into Lorna's bed for comfort on more than one occasion.
I like how she, Lyslet just disappeared entirely during that entire conversation that just happened.
Yep. Lorna's bed was narrow enough as it was. There was hardly enough room for one person, let alone two, but Lorna didn't have the heart to make Ada move. She was too soft for her own good. To further compound the issue, Lorna still felt anxious around the parlor maid, Toho. Lorna skirted about her as though she was infected by the bubonic plague. Lorna didn't know why, but being around Toho was uncomfortable.
That's because Toho is one bad apple.
She'd said as much in her letter as to her mother, scribbled hastily with shivering, sleep-deprived fingers. I don't understand her at all. It was like she was mocking me, but for something I couldn't change. I know it sounds petty, but I keep thinking about her and I can't sleep. I don't suppose it's that important in the grand scheme of things, but it must be if I can't stop thinking about it. And then, guilty that her latest letter to her dearest mother was nothing more than a list of grievances she had with Lady Constance, Lady Leonard, and the insufferable parlour maid, Lorna hastily appended. But enough about that. How have you been? What about Alice? How tall is she now? It's been so long since I last saw her, she must have shot up. Her mother's response had been genial but quizzical. She opened her letter with some general chit-chat about Ethel and Mary and Alice, which was always a comfort, and then addressed Lorna's issues with the parlour maid. Toho, or as Lorna had written, because she had no idea how to spell Toho's name, Tilly, short for Matilda. Toho was the most un-Matilda-like person Lorna had ever met. Not that there was a set way Matildas had to act, but it would have to do. Tilly was better than Toho. Toho called her Lori enough. It was tit for tat, really, well deserved. I'm sorry, dear, but I don't understand the problem, her mother had written. It sounded like Tilly was looking out for you. She might have been a bit harsh, but she wouldn't have said those things if she didn't care. Maybe you two could even become friends. The mere idea was enough to make Lorna snort in disbelief. Friends. Her mother seriously thought she could become friends with Toho. Maybe Lorna could have become friends with Tilly, whoever that was, but Toho? There was not a chance. Not a chance in heck. Lorna would rather make amends with Pauline than try and befriend Toho.
Damn. But you know what? That's not fair at all, because Pauline is way more of a bitch.
At least, that was what she told herself. The 12th of April, Tuesday.
Oh,
Miss Amy Varens was not the first governess Lady Constance had ever had. Neither was she the first governess Lorna had seen attending to the needs of the wildly irascible madam, even during the maid's brief 4 months at Bly. Hang on. Okay. Before Miss Amy, I'll call her Amy, Varens had been Miss Lillian Hurst. Lorna didn't remember Miss Lillian in great detail, as she had been fired for some misdemeanor or another during the second week of Lorna's employment, but she could recall, though vaguely, that Miss Lillian had been very tall and very blonde with piercing eyes.
what?
Miss Lillian hadn't seemed like the kind of woman who could be outsmart by a pint-sized she-devil like Lady Constance. But Lady Constance, despite her mere handful of years spent residing upon God's green earth, could be even wilier than a fox. Before Miss Lillian had been a string of governesses Lorena had never met. Miss Penelope Howard, Miss Catherine Storr, Miss Adrene Spence. None of them had remained in Bly for longer than a year. Miss Amy Varens was Lady Constance's newest toy, tutor rather, and Lorena felt rather sorry for her. She had an even more unforgiving job than Lorena did. Miss Amy was French and hailed from Lyons. She had fiery red hair, which one would assume denoted a similarly fiery personality, marking her out for the ballet, perhaps, or the opera. But it was quite the contrary. Miss Amy was a softly spoken retiring woman who would sooner have swallowed her tongue than stand upon a stage. It was unthinkable that such a woman could reign in Lady Constance. Lorena had known it was impossible from the very beginning. Lady Constance would chew her up and spit her back out. But that didn't stop Miss Amy from trying. She tried so hard it was almost heartbreaking.
Oh, there you are, maid.
Lady Constance pushed her list of French verbs to one side, almost sliding it off the circular table. Miss Amy, as was her wont, caught it before it could hit the floor.
Do you have my mid-morning snack?
Indeed, the cook was very thorough in her preparations.
Yay, lunch leave!
I hope I poisoned it.
I hope for your sake it's something sweet. I can't focus without.
This tastes like almonds to you?
They're coconut macaroons, miss. I hope they're to your liking.
Macarons.
Well,
Lady Constance's snub nose wrinkled. It was evident, even before she spoke, that Lorena's offerings was not to her liking at all, but perhaps the French verbs had worn even Lady Constance down because she relented. It's not what
it's not what I would have chosen, but they're better than nothing. Set the plate by my side, please, and don't jostle any of my things.
Hello. Certainly. Lady Constance peered at the macarons with a discerning eye.
Maroon 5s.
Like a master jeweler inspecting a freshly mined diamond. When it came to sweets, young girls had two stomachs. Lorena had heard that said before, and it was certainly the case with Lady Constance. Her taste in saccharine sweetmeats was unparalleled.
I suppose they will do.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for taking such good care of the young Mademoiselle Lorena.
Well, it's my job. Lady Constance clicked her tongue against the roof of her mouth.
I don't know if you realized yet, but this girl here.
Lady Constance gestured at Lorena.
Is only a maid. You don't need to thank her. She's probably too stupid to understand you.
Now you look here.
Oh, Mademoiselle Constance, surely you jest. She might be a maid, but she is a hard-working girl, is she not?
Well, I wonder.
A smile played at the corner of Lady Constance's lips. It was not entirely pleasant.
Tell me, maid, what do you do when Reverend Marner services finish on Sunday?
Right.
Lorena shifted, suddenly guilty. She looked down at the floor and the pattern rug that covered it. This is further than I got last time, by the way, so this is like new to me now. I go back to Bly naturally.
You say it's natural for you to come back here, but you're always so very late.
Also, I was like reading pretty much all of this on my own before, so my voice is still getting tired, but it was like way worse before. I am not so very late.
Silence! You were a quarter of an hour later returning to Bly than the other maids last Sunday and the Sunday before that. Oh wow, she's actually kind of like inquisitive.
I hate her.
It might not sound like much to a dullard like you, but all it adds up to a considerable amount of time.
I didn't realize.
Of course you didn't. You've never learned how to do basic mathematics, have you?
Lady Constance's eyes roved up and down Lerna's form, her lips curled.
So let me phrase it in a way that even you can understand, maid. You have wasted more than an hour during the last month alone, a whole hour. Now do you understand the gravity of your sin? Your sin?
Sin seemed a little harsh coming from a tiny mouth like Lady Constance's, but Lorena had no room to argue. Lady Constance had already outmaneuvered her.
This is sloppy, slovenly behavior. I won't abide by it. You maids are only allowed to attend church every Sunday out of the goodness of my mother's heart, but you've even taken advantage of that. You're using your faith as an excuse to take time off your good graces.
I never intended to, I just...
What you intended is neither here nor there. I imagine you don't even understand what most perplexing thing about all this is.
What?
I spoke to Pauline earlier and she told me... Well, I couldn't hardly believe what she told me.
Pauline, was it? Lorena scowled. She couldn't help herself. The mere mention of Pauline's name had often had this effect on her.
Pauline, that horse-faced woman, said you were late returning to Bly because you were going to the post office of all things. Now a lowly, uneducated maid, what purpose is there for you to going to the post office? I doubt you can read or write.
Well, I know it might seem unbelievable, but I do know how to read and write, miss.
Oh?
Lady Constance didn't look surprised by this news. Surprising though it was, her face remained calm, like a still puddle of water after a rainfall. It was even more disconcerting than outright anger.
And how, pray tell, did you learn to do that?
My father taught me.
So your father was a scholar, was he?
Not exactly. He was a sailor, but he went to a village school when he was a child, and he learnt a little here and there. He was always fond of stories. Robin Crusoe and the Arabian Nights. He read them to me when I was a child. God forbid my hour spent watching Yuri. That's probably what she does when she's not sending letters.
Oh my. How interesting. It seems we have an undercover genius in this house. This whole time, should I have been
Mademoiselle, Constance, please, your lesson.
She's jealous because she knows the alphabet. In a minute, Amy, I'm not through with Sappho here. Oh.
Oh.
Lady Constance's lips curled.
Tell me, maid, if you're really so very intelligent as you seem to think, then why don't you help with my French reading?
For French?
That's right. It shouldn't be too much of a challenge for you, should it? After all.
I am Canadian. I was forced to learn French, but I don't remember like any of it. Are you forced to learn French in America?
No, I didn't have any language classes.
Huh.
It's our second national language, that's why.
Yeah. Well, like most of the country just speaks English though. It's kind of just like Quebec, right?
Quebec is weird.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good amount of French we have here, and then all the LCBO employees also know French as well.
Oh,
My
wait, did
Kit
you read
Kat, you
this?
have such a good French accent.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Lady Constance raised her eyebrows.
You know how to read and write, you clever girl.
Well, I've never studied French before, and
That wasn't a question. It was an order. Come here.
Je m'appelle Dren and Doc.
Omelette du fromage.
What does that mean? See, even you know more than me.
Cheese omelet.
Lorna glanced about the drawing room awkwardly, but there was nobody to save her. Miss Amy certainly couldn't. There was nothing she could do. Lady Constance was in a particularly sadistic mood today. French always did this to her. It was no secret that French was Lady Constance's least favorite subject. I also hated it. I struggled enough with learning English with like dyslexia. It was much worse needing to also learn French.
French
And the fact,
also has like 2 ways you have to say things.
yeah, or did it?
I
I forget
it was a gendered
so much.
language.
Yeah, I do remember that. There was like there was gender. There's genders to like everything, right? Like even like furniture has genders.
Be grateful you
has-
don't have to learn German.
Everything has a masculine and a feminine, but it's kind
Yeah.
of sexist because if you have a group of women in a room, so like 10 women, and then you have 2 men in that group, you still refer to the group as masculine.
Lady Constance was in a I read this already. Or yeah, least favorite subject, and the fact her new governess was a French woman herself was no small source of scorn from the young girl. God, I would not want to teach her. Fearing
Demon
for her,
child.
yeah, fearing for her immediate well-being, Lorena hastened to Lady Constance's side. The young girl took a slim volume of French fables from her desk and handed them to Lorena. Lorena took the book and opened it. She stared at the words on the page, but they had no meaning. They might as well have been written in Greek.
Wee.
Well, sorry.
Well,
Lady Constance's devilish smile grew wider.
what are you waiting for? Start reading, please.
What do you mean you don't know all the languages after knowing one?
You're not Rosetta Stone? What's the problem?
But I...
Oh, are you saying La Fontaine? Am I pronouncing this? Forgive me if I fucked this up. Are you saying La Fontaine? It's difficult for you.
I think I've fucked up all the names at this point. I don't even try. Hang on, let me read the chat.
I have to step away for 2 seconds. Give me like a
Alright.
moment.
Cruel joke for dyslexics because the language sentences are backwards. It's all relative when you think about it. Is it backwards in German or is it backwards in English? They are both backwards to one another. I had a phase where I was
So
trying...
deep.
Sorry?
So true, so deep.
Yeah. I had a phase where I was trying to learn Japanese and that was like very different, but I only stuck with that for like a few months. Like I learned hiragana and katakana, but kanji is when I was like, okay, I'm not doing this. Alright, I'll read for both of them, I guess. For now, until Hannah's back. Well, or should I wait? What do you guys think?
We can take a short break if you want.
All right.
Too much
Give my
fury
voice
at
a
one
rest.
point.
Who pinged me? Someone pinged me in general.
Well, that was probably when people were asking to get like custom rules.
Mhm.
No, that already happened.
Oh, did it?
They got the role.
Yeah. The
They got the
terrorist role.
I want a roll. How do I get a roll?
Wait, what role
You
would
have
you
to
want?
beg for it.
Friendly
Mommy.
neighborhood lesbian. There's that. We could do that.
I mean, I did add your little goofy sticker fan art to the game as the lesbian Easter egg, so
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I just don't want to be green. I just don't want to be green anymore.
Green. Just pay more money to go blue.
Be blue.
Well,
what color would you want to be?
We were discussing it in general earlier. I was looking at like this reddish orange. I didn't want to get too close to the yellows because then I might get confused for one of the other moderators. I know like Sanaku is blue, that's nothing, but
Well,
yeah,
blue
looking
is
at-
technically the mod color. It's just that both Faye and Ver wanted yellow, and then mine's also wanted yellow. So coincidentally, it just worked out like that.
all the mods are
Okay.
not the color they should be.
Yeah.
I'm back, by the way.
Pixie is
Hey.
purple.
make me yellow then. Make me yellow as well.
You want me to read this?
Yeah. Hang on a second. I'm just
We're
replying in
having
general.
important discussion.
Yeah.
Mommy Kit Kat wants a role.
DM me after this, or I'll probably forget.
Okay.
Roll initiative.
Oh no.
Oh wait, I have dice here once.
Someone asked what other animes I've seen. I have a note on my phone from a long time ago where I wrote down all the ones that I've seen because I haven't seen that many. I don't know. I'll reply to that later.
You should watch Red Line.
Redline, what's that about?
It's a fun racing anime.
You should
Red line's
watch
so
Citrus.
good. Okay, wait, I got dice here.
Wait. You can read this, by the way.
Too bad, I'm still waiting.
Let me get back to the right chat. There we go. Well, Lorena cleared her throat. Fingers trembling, her face beat red, she began. La sigel a yant chanti tu le et a. But
She's
Lorena,
casting spells.
but
Which
Lorena
burn
had
her.
not gone more than 2 lines when Lady Constance interrupted her. It is time to drink water.
Well, that was terrible. And I thought you could read.
Lorna dipped her head, her face burnt bright red. Why would you be embarrassed about that? Like, how are you supposed to know how to know a language you've never known?
It's because she's a rich
Real
child.
issue?
Yep. She could read basic English at least. French was way over her head. Didn't Lady Constance know how unfair she was being? But that didn't sway the young mistress.
See?
Lady Constance gave Miss Amy, Amy. How's it again?
Miss
Amy.
Annie.
Amy?
Yeah, just say Amy.
Amy. A sidelong glance.
If this genius of a maid can't understand La Fontaine, I think, then I fail to see why I should be expected to.
But mademoiselle, French is important. You're expected to understand the gist of the language at least, so you can at least integrate more easily into high society.
Kafu said, I will be leaving for now. Ping me when there's a Yuri scene.
Bye, Kafu.
And why should I need to integrate? I'm already part of high society. But nothing. I'm tired of these silly games. If you want to teach anybody French, teach this foolish maid. But I have no interest in it whatsoever.
And with that, Lady Constance got to her feet and marched out of the drawing room.
All 1 foot tall of her.
Yep. Miss Amy watched her retreating back, a frown on her face.
Oh dear.
Lorena was inclined to agree with her. Lady Constance hadn't even tried any of her macaroons. How could she be so selfish? Thoroughly humiliated, or actually no, I did play up to this point. Thoroughly humiliated, Lorna stalked down the hallways of Bly with a face like thunder. Why was Lady Constance so unreasonable, expecting her to be fluent in French of all things, and then using Lorna's incompetence as an excuse to escape? It beggared belief. How could one little girl be so very shameless? If you were my younger sister, I'd spank you in a second. That's what you deserve, you charlatan. Her feet thumped across the carpet hard. By this point, she had worked herself up into such a state she completely failed to notice the presence of another person. Oh? Until it was too late. Lorena stumbled, her eyes wide, her fingers slackening. She dropped the broom to the floor, where it struck the wall with a dull thud before gravity pulled it back down to earth. It rolled several times before bumping against the side of Lorena's foot, where it came to a standstill.
How does a broom roll?
Lorena had come to a standstill too. It was impossible for her to move, even if she wanted to. Thanks to her thoughts, which always seemed to trip her up, quite literally this time, she had managed to run into the one person she did not want to run into.
How big is this house where you've managed to like avoid this?
Ping Kafu, ping Kafu.
Hello, Larry. That was quite the greeting you gave me.
I'm gonna screenshot it.
Wait, did she join? There she is. Lorna blinked at the older woman with wide eyes. Her eyes were so wide, in fact, it looked like her irises had been swallowed up by her whites. Her cheeks, meanwhile, were slowly starting to turn pink. Why, of all the embarrassing things?
Are you alright? You look rather flustered. Tired too? Have you not been getting enough sleep?
I get more than enough sleep.
Ness, did you not know this was...
Well, that's good. One must look after their health. It wouldn't reflect well on Lady Leonard if one of her precious maids collapsed from fatigue.
Well... Lorna tried to soothe the stammering of her heart, but that was hard when she didn't know why it was stammering to begin with. And her mother had thought she could become friends with Toho, or Tilly as she had been termed. If Lorena's mother ever met the woman, Lorena was sure she would change her mind in a heartbeat. It was the only proper thing to do. Lorena inhaled and took a step backwards, then two, then three. 3 steps seemed like a sensible distance to her. It wasn't so very far she would look foolish trying to continue the conversation, but not so close Toho's presence could unsettle her.
When you're so whipped you forget how to stand away from a person.
She's out of my D6 range.
I want to talk to you about something actually.
You do?
Yes, about what happened a couple weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. How curious. Did something occur between the pair of us?
Yuri!
Toho blinked, one finger against her lower lip. She was quite the convincing actress. She could have given Emily Soldine a run for her money. Not that Lorena had ever seen Emily Soldine perform. She'd never been to London before in her life. You know something did. Surely you remember what you said to me?
Not everything. My memory isn't that good, and this was a while ago.
How old is Toho?
We do not know.
12.
Well, you should know how you made me feel at least.
Silly Laurie. How could I possibly know how you feel? You didn't tell me. And contrary to popular
Oh,
belief, I
shit.
cannot read minds.
I didn't realize scrolling would do that. You should have been able to assume.
But assumptions can often be wrong. That's why I was hoping to run into you, so I could confirm my hypothesis.
What are you, a detective?
Unfortunately not. I'm just a mere maid. I thought that much would be obvious.
Lorena rolled her eyes.
Pull out like a pipe and a hat.
These two are a match made in heaven.
Made in heaven.
She had told herself she wasn't going to punch Toho, but the urge was growing stronger and stronger by the second. You are impossible.
I suppose I should take that as a compliment.
Take it however you want, I don't care. I was under the impression, however, that you might want to apologize.
And whatever gave you that idea?
Because you upset me.
Ah, so I did upset you after all. That's what I feared.
Yes, you did. You seemed to imply when you removed that thorn that I was the one to blame for getting hurt.
I was simply trying to help, Laurie.
You helped me, yes, but you acted like you didn't want to, like I was getting in your way. Well, I never asked for your help. I didn't want it. You forced it on me, then expected me to fawn over you with gratitude. I don't see why I should thank you, and I'm not going to. Lorena scuffed the floor with the tip of her shoe, her face twisted. If you dislike me, I don't know why you poked your nose into my affairs in the first place. We would both have been happier if you let me alone. Honestly, the young maid sighed. All her irritation towards the older woman had accumulated over the past few weeks, like pus inside a boil. Now it finally had a chance to spill out, and oh, how much of it there was.
Quite the visual.
Yeah, she was even more upset than she had thought. Maybe this was in part because of how Lady Constance had toyed with her not 5 minutes ago.
I'm noticing a trend here where, like, every time Constance does something fucked up, they meet and she takes it out on this girl.
What did I do?
Lorena couldn't take her anger out on the small girl who had derived such pleasure from her pain, but she could take her anger out on Toho. She felt like she had a right to be angry with her. Toho really was an exasperating woman. I just don't understand you.
Evidently. If you did understand me, you wouldn't say such foolish things.
So my feelings are foolish, are they?
Yes.
Gaslighting.
Please don't put,
Love.
please don't put words into my mouth. I never said your feelings were foolish, only that you were acting foolish.
Put something else in my mouth.
You're splitting hairs, there's no real difference.
I beg to differ. If you would pause to think, you'd realize I don't dislike you, Lori. In fact, it's quite the opposite.
You act as though you do.
You can believe whatever you want, but you're ignoring a few key details. If I hated you, why would I have pulled out the thorn, and why would I have caught you when you fell? It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. I don't understand how you think. I bet you only did it to make me feel bad.
Oh dear, do I really seem that heartless?
To be honest, yes.
My.
Toho held her hands together at her front. It was an unusually humble gesture coming from the older maid, and it made her seem slightly more approachable than usual. A little less overbearing.
I apologize if I hurt your feelings then. It was not my intention.
Then what was? How did you think I was going to react?
It didn't cross my mind, to be honest.
You mean you just say things and you don't care about who you hurt? That's even worse.
So upsetting people out of neglect is more heinous than upsetting them out of malice?
Oh.
The end result is the same, but I suppose we all look at things differently.
Lorena bristled. She didn't have the time to listen to this woman and her convoluted words. If Toho truly wanted to apologize, she would have done so, and then let Lorena go. They didn't need to draw this conversation out any longer. It was uncomfortable enough as it was.
She's just so attracted to her, she just can't help but to get angry.
Yep. Right,
It's like the
well,
kid in the back.
yeah.
Tsundere.
Well, you've said your piece, so that should be the end of it.
You want to be rid of me?
I do, very much so.
That's rather sad.
You'll recover soon enough, I'm sure.
Perhaps, but this is a sorry state of affairs. I realize I've offended you, but I didn't mean to. I just...
Toho frowned.
Oh well. I suppose it's all water under the bridge.
Fine, I won't talk to you if you don't talk to me.
But that's what you wanted.
I suppose being ignored is better than being despised. Alright then.
Toho bent down and retrieved the broom Lorena had dropped.
Here you go. Take it.
Thanks. Lorena wanted to sound unconcerned, but she couldn't. For some reason, her voice was trembling. It was further proof she couldn't spend time in Toho's company. The older maid was far too difficult, maybe even dangerous.
Dren does not know how to speak a shy girl.
Lorena couldn't read her, no matter how she attempted. Toho's eyes were impenetrable. Her small smile was so well crafted it might as well have been a mirage. Once more, Lorena thought of Emily Soldine. She shook her head. Though Toho was an accomplished actress, she was no Emily Soldine. She wasn't British enough. Maybe that was the reason Lorena felt so uneasy in her company. Lorena couldn't understand the older woman, therefore she couldn't trust her. British. That wasn't that common sense. It seemed logical enough to her.
This woman is too exotic for me to trust her.
Alright, if you're happy, I suppose I am happy. I'll try to refrain from making any unnecessary commands in the future. Comments in the future.
You do that.
I will. I can control myself. I hope I shall see you later, Laurie.
And Toho left. Lorena watched as Toho's long skirts fluttered around her legs with each footstep. It was only some 5 seconds later, when sense had finally returned to her, that Lorena remembered to mutter, "And don't call me Lori."
Toho just turns around right then.
Super hearing.
Later that night, uh-oh.
Now she definitely won't get any sleep.
Yep. Yes, Ada, what is it? I'm sorry. Ada shrank back, her head bowed, and for good reason. Lorena's tone was a good deal sharper than usual, and Ada was unused to being addressed so coldly by her closest friend. Lorena sighed, massaging her temple with her fingers. She knew she was being unfair, unreasonable even. Share a bed already, they already did. But nothing freaky happened. Though she had suffered through a remarkably rotten day, it wasn't Ada's fault. Ada had nothing to do with Lady Constance's temper tantrums, Pauline's petty revenge, or Toho's complex and confusing mind games. Ada was completely innocent. You don't need to apologize, I'm the one who's in the wrong. But it looked like you were busy. I was busy, but I can always set time aside for you. Lorena put her quill away. She had been in the middle of writing a letter to her mother, but she wasn't entirely sure what to write. Words failed her. Talking to Ada might help put her thoughts in order. What did you want to talk about? Well, it's about the ghost. Did you happen to hear it again? It's even worse. Lottie told me she saw it. Oh, she did she? Though Lorena was rather fond of Lislet, it was hard not to be fond of Lislet. She didn't regard her as a trustworthy source of information. Lislet was fanciful to a fault, and she loved both fairy tales and ghost stories. Often she made no distinction between the two. Yes, she was out in the hallways last night, bolting the windows and drawing the curtains, when she saw a what? A figure in the garden. Was it a ghostly figure? She said it was quite ghostly. It wasn't Joe the gardener? No, it was... no. Lottie said it was very tiny, just like a child, and it was wearing a long, flowing night dress. That's Lady Constance, isn't it? Just like doing a little trolling.
She's fucking with them.
Yeah. Hang on, let me read the chat.
We do a little
Lady
trolling.
Constance is pulling a Scooby-Doo.
Yep.
And I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling adults.
You meddling maids.
It's just a prank.
Constance is the Logan Paul of this game.
Yep.
Go in the
Lady
forest.
Constance is the demon.
Alright, I'll play till 3, I think, because my voice is getting kind of tired again. Wait, so this game is like 8 hours long, right?
7 to 10, yeah. Well, we're going through it pretty fast, so around
Alright.
8, yeah.
Did she what did I have to do next week? I think I was gonna be busy or something, I forget. I don't know, but did she manage to look at its face? She didn't get a chance. She was so very excited. She said she passed out for a few moments. That sounds like Lislet. And when she came to, the figure was nowhere to be found. Very mysterious. Indeed. And Lislet is convinced it was a ghost? I don't know what else it could have been. Lorena sighed. She wasn't convinced herself, but she was the kind of person who refused to believe in anything unless she could see it with her own 2 eyes. With a yawn, the young maid began to divest herself of her uniform. She was growing tired, and it was a struggle for her to keep her eyes open. Very EP. As was to be expected, Ada politely averted her eyes. Lorena folded her uniform neatly, then put on her nightclothes. When she stretched, the fabric
He is
strained...
Eepy. The missile has had a very long day of splashing bandits and wants to take just a small sleep.
Strained against
Again,
her
Kafu.
chest. She probably needed a new nightgown. This one was several years old, but she could hardly afford it. I wonder, why would the ghost of a small child haunt the rose gardens of Bly? Lyslet said maybe a murder had taken place. Of course she'd think that. Lyslet loves drama. Speaking of which, where was Lyslet? It was almost 10 o'clock.
She had been murdered.
Yeah. Lady Constance
Ghost
killed her.
got her.
Perhaps she was with the two scullery maids, and maybe the cook. Irritable though she was, the cook had a rare soft spot for the dreamy Swiss maiden, telling them about her close encounter with the supernatural. As for Pauline and Isabel, they had been summoned to see Miss Smythe an hour ago. Lorena didn't know what they were doing, and quite frankly, she didn't care. Lyslet said, but perhaps a previous owner of Bly was a scoundrel, and he sired an illegitimate child with a mistress. And then, when he could no longer bear the shame of raising such a child, he murdered her. And buried her body in the rose garden. Lovely. That's right. Does Lyslet have any proof? I don't know about proof, but she made it sound very plausible. She's a natural-born storyteller, don't pay her any heed. But the ghost? I'm sure it will be fine, don't worry about things too much, Ada. It was probably her imagination. But Lorena was unable to complete her sentence. Is this gonna turn into a horror game?
I would love it if it
Yeah,
did.
me too. Well, it's like Doki Doki, it's secretly like a ghost horror game. That's because at that moment, Pauline and Isabel entered the room. Hang on, let me read the chat.
Goodness, Miss Smith can talk.
I feel absolutely exhausted.
I always feel exhausted, and my poor hands are frozen.
Why do we have to put out all the fires?
It's such a chore.
I barely have enough strength.
I can't undo the buttons of my blouse.
To be young again.
Stop bitching around.
The boomers
Pauline.
are complaining.
Pauline cast a furtive look at Lorena. Her lips were curled into a smile, but her eyes were cold and hard. Lorena held her gaze unflinching. Was this some kind of challenge? Lorena knew how Pauline felt about her, and Pauline had been more explicit about her feelings than usual as of late. The comment from a few days hence continued to weigh on Lorena's mind. Slut.
Wait 1 second, hold on.
Alright.
Thank you. I have coffee now. You don't realize how lucky you are, Lorena.
How am I lucky exactly? She certainly didn't feel lucky.
You're still young and not yet in your 20th year, a beautiful rose, just as ripe for the picking. I'm just as bloody. Or trampling.
I beg your pardon? How long had Effie been in the room anyway? Effie was so quiet Lorena had often forgot she even existed. But when Effie did open her mouth to speak, what came out of it was always invariably.
The moon looks sad tonight.
Bizarre.
Putting the moon to one side for now.
Pauline's lips curled.
You have a bright future ahead of you, Lorena. You're not so very bad looking. You have a body that most men would kill for.
Most women would kill for it too. I'm so cold my hands won't stop shaking.
It's a waste that you should while away your life employed as a mere maid. Do you not agree? Forget the back pain.
Your pretty hands will start to seize up just like mine.
Believe it or not, even when I was young once. I was young once. But years upon years of hard work takes it out of you.
Lorena narrowed her eyes, her lips pursed. Excuse me, but I'm not entirely sure what you're trying to say.
Why, it's simple. If I was a pretty young thing like you, I wouldn't hesitate to use my feminine wits on the opposite sex either. Especially if it was to make my job easier. I don't think I've seen a single man in this game outside of
No.
The presence of a reverend.
Yeah, and they didn't draw him. There's no men allowed to be seen in this game. I don't have any.
The ghost is the man.
Yeah, I don't have any wiles, and if I did, I wouldn't know how to use them. Neither would I want to. Hannah, didn't you say that like for some of these types of games, it's like if they add any male characters at all, that people will get like irrationally upset by it?
Yeah, it depends on like what the audience is, but like in like Korea and Japan, like the Genshin Impact type games, those like gacha games, there's like a whole like drama around like the people seeing the presence of a guy, or like the girls that they like talking to a guy in the game, or in the game's universe rather. They like stalk the developers' houses and like send them death threats and all kinds of fucked up stuff. Like form little mini militias online about how they're gonna like attack like the creators of those games.
It comes from like idol culture, right? Where
the same thing.
With VTubers, idols, and all that. Man's voice appears on stream. Instantly, a lot of people are triggered.
Am I gonna get death threats because I'm actually a dude and my VTuber model is female?
Yes.
Sorry, you were doomed from the start.
So it's fine. It's cute, so it's fine.
There's gonna be people mad that the claw operator has a brother.
What? He's a brother? I'm instantly unsubscribing Patreon.
That's what you say, but we know better.
Giggle, giggle. Lorena's back stiffened. She bit her lower lip. Why were they bringing this up again?
It's a pity Lady Leonard doesn't have any handsome young sons. If only she had, that would be your ticket to a better life.
Lorena turned her head away. Her cheeks were flushed bright red with shame.
I must say, it's brave of you to try and seduce the Pickering boy. Who are we talking about?
The Pickering boy we're talking about, of course.
I'm so tempted to get a snack, but the risk of missing a Yuri scene. You wanna go ahead and we can wait like a minute?
There's no Yuri coming at the moment, at least. I'm an expert.
I'm worried that this is turning into like a bully situation.
As a Blackberry honey scholar, I know when Yuri will arise.
Yep.
Lady Leonard. Yellow leather, red leather, lavender leather.
Incredibly bold.
It's a pity it went very poorly.
I didn't.
That's what you say, but the evidence is stacked against you.
Why else were you dismissed from your previous job so abruptly? Is this like a reference to her old job?
Yep.
I don't think Lorena did anything wrong.
Shush, Ada. Adults are talking.
Yes. Ada looked down at her intertwined fingers. Her lower lip trembled. Despite being an adult herself, she was easily cowed.
Yeah.
Ada wasn't a girl made for debates. She had a tendency to fold in on herself like a stack of cards, though Lorena had to give her points for trying.
Couldn't be me.
Still, it's awfully brazen of you to try to deny your crimes.
To continue going to church.
To talk to us like we're equals.
To even look at us in the eye.
You're nothing more than a common whore.
First slut, now whore. What next?
When we were bouncing off each other, I thought we were gonna do like a Team Rocket thing.
I was waiting for.
Keeping secrets was impossible in a place like this. The servants lived far too closely together in their dirty, dusty, draughty quarters. It was only natural the other maids would know.
This is why you can't have anything interesting going on ever. You have to be really boring.
Everybody had heard the rumors about Hartwell and Lorena's sudden dismissal and Arthur Pickering. But Lorena didn't like to think about that. Not now. In fact, she was rather shocked to discover she would much rather think about Toho. Oh no. The 13th of April.
15th.
Oh, 15th. A few days later, Lorena found herself in the kitchen. She was in the midst of cleaning out a large tin pot for the cook beneath a stream of steady water. Though Lady Leonard employed a couple of scullery maids to aid the cook with her chores, they were often indisposed with miscellaneous tasks. The scullery maids didn't sleep with the housemaids beneath the attic. They had even smaller, shabbier quarters that were close to the kitchens.
They live in the walls.
Yep. Lorena didn't know the scullery maids very well, and she couldn't remember their names. There was one girl with thin brown hair who might have been a Bessie, and perhaps the wiry red-haired girl was Eliza.
So why so many red-haired women?
I don't know.
Because Irish people live in France? I don't know.
We're not even in France.
Where's this set again?
Victorian England, I believe.
Oh yeah, England. Okay, because Irish people live in England?
But Lorena didn't know. Technically speaking, Lorena wasn't supposed to work in the kitchens. She wasn't a scullery maid, but a housemaid, a rank or two below Toho on the social hierarchy. Though Lorena could sweep carpets, polish stairwells, and light almost any fireplace, scouring pots and pans was not her forte. Unfortunately, the cook had asked for Lorena's assistance by name, and Lorena couldn't disobey a direct order from the cook. The cook was an irritable, moon-faced woman, but she was one of the most senior staff members Bly had possessed, other than Mr. Lester and Miss Smythe.
Cliff-faced as usual, I see.
Yep. Lorena washed the pot dutifully, soaping it clockwise with a flannel. Her hands were starting to tire, and she had no idea how long she'd been working, but it certainly felt like long enough. Her hair was getting in her eyes, but she couldn't pause to brush the loose tendrils behind her ears. She'd done that before and had learnt the hard way that introducing carbolic soap to her unprotected eyeballs was a rather poor idea. I would think so. As Lorena worked, the soap suds scudding along about her, she happened to look out the window. The sky was clear, bright blue, and the rose gardens lay beyond the kitchen. The young maid could make out, not so very far away, two familiar figures, Effie and Lyslet. Lorena wasn't sure why they were in the garden. It wasn't Monday, and there was no laundry to be done. The voices of the two girls drifted to Lorena on the spring breeze. When she strained her ears, Lorena was able to catch most of their conversation. The daffodils are so beautiful. I could be back in Andermatt.
You always say that.
I know. I fear I'm dreadfully simple-minded, but I cannot help myself. I do love my hometown.
How cute.
You really think so? Oh, thank goodness. Sometimes already I must annoy you, or so much with my ramblings.
You don't.
Well, thank you, though I do wonder. It is such a beautiful day, and yet I can hardly believe amongst these outdoors there lurks an ancient spectre. Just thinking about it makes me tremble. What if it were to possess me in the night? How would that feel?
Like this.
Effie caught hold of Lyslet's middle and began to assault her with her fingers. Her digits scrabbled at Lyslet's tummy, beneath her neck, and under her arms.
Is she tickling her?
I think the
she's
blonde
like-
maid soon doubled up, squealing.
Yeah, let go! Oh, God, my voice.
But I'm possessing you.
Wouldn't mind. Effie, I did not know English girls were so touchy.
We aren't, not usually. You're special.
Lorena looked at the cook curiously. Ellen said, "This emoji doesn't represent my dread. I must draw Dren crying." Alright, we'll have to ping ping Cafu when there's more
And
Yuri.
egg. Just ping at everyone every
Yeah.
time there's Yuri.
Everyone in the server and switch this to general. Alright. Do you know what they're doing outside? The cook. Who should voice the cook?
God. Do it.
I'll do it.
No, you can only do the annoying characters.
Fine.
I
I thought the
Uh,
cook was
again.
annoying.
Oh, no, not really.
I'll read it
I
if
can
no one
hop
else
in
wants to.
I can do it.
Alright. The cook set down her rolling pin. She had been in the middle of preparing Lady Constance's mid-morning snack and gave Lorena a withering look.
Why are you asking me that?
No real reason. I just thought, as they're right outside the kitchens, you might have sent them on some kind of errand.
And what if I have?
Well,
Haven't you been here long enough to know you shouldn't bother me when I'm working?
I'm sorry for interrupting you.
As you should be.
The cook harumphed her large
Harumph.
harumphed. How do you say it?
That is harumph. No, that's right.
Her large bosom heaving. She wasn't
Only
a
woman.
particularly old woman, in her 30s, Lorena assumed, but her bosom was impressively large, and it was already starting to sag. Sometimes Lorena wondered if her breasts were the real reason why the cook was always so po-faced. Dragging them around with her must have been incredibly tiresome.
Lorena's kind of mean.
Maybe that was why the cook often asked the housemaids for help, though they weren't supposed to work in the kitchens. Her breasts had damaged her back, and despite her relative youth, she had difficulty keeping the kitchen in order on her own. Lorena hoped her breasts wouldn't weigh on her like that. They hurt her back quite enough as it was already. In 20 years' time, or even 10, would her spine still be able to withstand the pressure?
No.
If you must know, I asked those staff girls to pick some blackberries for me. Blackberry honey!
Yep. Blackberries? What are we, some kind of blackberry honey?
That's right. You mightn't know, seeing as you've not been here a whole year, but there's a fig near the back of the garden. I always make blackberry jam during the springtime, and blackberry pies and blackberry tarts. Blackberry, you name it. Lady Constant is very fond of blackberries.
Calcium Cannon's the game.
It's gonna be a reference, like a Forrest Gump reference.
Blackberry honey, there it is. Oh, I see.
No honey, though.
No, not yet. I'm sure we're getting to that. What is going to be the significance of blackberry honey, if any? It made sense.
It's probably gonna be something about like two things going together that people probably didn't expect to go well together.
Actually, yeah, that's probably what it is.
It's the poison that they use to hide the bodies.
Yeah. Is that the poison we're gonna use on Lady Constance?
Oh please, kill me.
Blackberries, though sweet, had an initial tartness when you first bite into them. Their prickly, off-putting palate suited Lady Constance perfectly.
They're supposed to be picking blackberries at any rate, but it seems they've gotten distracted.
They're busy kissing.
So. Lorena frowned. She felt a bit guilty for tattling on Effie and Lyslet, whom she liked quite a lot, but she didn't suppose the cook would be too hard on them. For all her bluster, she was a good woman at heart, and she seemed to regard Lyslet as a surrogate daughter. Shoulder boulders. Chesticles. They drink blackberry honey mead and kiss. Okay. The cook was forever summoning Lyslet to the kitchens and giving her easy jobs.
Oi!
The cook yelled quite suddenly, making Lorena jump. She was so loud the pots and pans in the kitchen quaked. The two young scullery maids, Bessie and Eliza, were those their names, tensed.
You too! You're not getting paid to stand around yakking!
As if by magic, the two maids in the rose garden parted. Though they were a few paces away, Lorena could see the abashed smile on Lyslet's face quite plainly.
I'm sorry, I'll start right away. You do that, Lottie, or I'll tell Lady Leonard. I'm yelling at myself. Oh no, I wouldn't want that. Let us go, Effie.
And Lyslet took hold of Effie's hand.
Yay!
Lorna watched the two of them, her head tilted to one side. She was more curious than ever. Had Lyslet and Effie always been that close?
Side character, Yuri.
Oh no, she's back. Later that day.
Yay! Oh, maid, there you are.
You know, I do have a name.
What was that?
Nothing. Lady Constance sighed and set down her slim volume of French fables. It appeared to be the same volume she had been poring over a few days prior. It really was curious, Lorna mused, that whenever Lady Constance was assailed with a sudden urge for sugar during her studies, it was invariably when she was supposed to be studying French.
And what mid-morning snack do you have for me today?
Biscuits, miss.
I hope for your sake they're nicer than the coconut macaroons.
Coconut macaroons sound nicer than biscuits.
I love coconut macaroons.
I've never had them, but they just sound nicer.
They
Macaroons?
look very tasty.
Hmm.
The
The
characters I voiced do not represent my belief.
The macaroons that Lady Constance did not even try.
But I am in fact a 30-year-old lady with giant bosoms.
I can't say for sure. I haven't sampled them myself.
Naturally. That would be most uncouth.
I thought you might say that. The cook told me they had a fancy foreign name, but... Lorena looked at the plate in her hands. It was a delicate willow-patterned piece, quite unlike the chipped ceramics the maids ate from. This plate alone was probably worth more than a month of Lorena's meager salary. On the plate, arranged by the cook's careful hands, were a handful of sables à la Porsche, butter-based French biscuits with centuries of strawberry jam. Lorena didn't know the correct terminology for these sweet treats, and neither would she have been able to pronounce it if she did, so she handled the situation as best she could. She bowed her head in apology. I can't quite seem to remember it.
Hold on, I'm getting a picture of the cookie. Because that's what they are.
Those
As
are good.
expected, you really are useless.
I've had so many of those.
Lady Constance tutted.
Well, at least let me see the mystery biscuits. I'll decide for myself what I think.
Are those the
Mystery
things?
biscuits.
Do those biscuits come in like, you know, those circular metal things of cookies?
No,
Biscuits?
no, those don't usually. The ones that come in the tins don't have like filling in them. Those are pretty those are like butter biscuits. Like
The
They
tins
usually come
only
in,
have
a
knitting
sleeve.
stuff inside.
yeah,
Mhm.
there are tins with those in it. Hold on, here's a tin with them in it. Hold on. But the famous blue tin that everybody thinks about, those usually have shortbread cookies in them.
Yeah.
The
No.
sewing box tin.
Sewing
Yeah.
needles.
I'm hungry now. 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. Of course. Lorena obliged, setting the plate on the table. I'll play it till like the end of this scene. Hopefully this isn't a 10-hour scene. Lady Constance pinched one of the biscuits between her thumb and forefinger and bit into it delicately. She didn't spill a single crumb.
She throws it at her.
Lorena couldn't help but be impressed. Though she didn't like Lady Constance, she had to give praise where praise was due. Lady Constance, despite her 12 years of age, really was elegant. Far more elegant than Lorena. Lady Constance chewed for a while, letting the sweetness of the biscuit dissolve across her tongue before she swallowed. Her delicate throat, pale as a swan's hide, convulsed.
Snake.
I suppose they are satisfactory.
Thank goodness for that. If you're pleased with your snack, then I shall leave these here. If you need anything else, please give me a call. I will be in the kitchen. Lorena dropped a neat courtesy, first to Lady Constance, then to Miss Amy. She was already crossing the carpet, her shoes falling against the floorboards, with a series of dull thuds when...
Oh no.
Oh, but these are sables à la poche. C'est magnifique.
Miss Amy's voice made Lorena halt. Lorena sucked in a breath. Slowly, very slowly, she turned about. Lady Constance was frozen in place, a biscuit pinched between her thumb and forefinger. She had been in the process of bringing it to her lips, but Amy's exclamation had stopped her.
She has a surprised Pikachu face.
The girl's eyes flashed dangerously.
She's slowly beginning to hate the French.
Base. Nothing against Kit Kat.
No, it's valid.
Hannah?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I was, what was that, Amy?
Oh, I was merely saying that these delightful biscuits are French.
Disgusting.
Is that so?
Yes, they come from Sabo du South, but they are popular all around the country. I used to eat them when I was a young gal.
Miss Amy laughed softly, tucking a strand of loose hair behind the shell of her ear. Her bright red hair. It contrasted something fierce against her creamy skin. It made Miss Amy look even whiter than she truly was.
Miss Amy is the ghost.
Yep.
Just pale. In fact, these biscuits might be even more French than I am.
And what makes you say that?
You know how it is, Mademoiselle Constance. I worked for 3 years in Palermo. Did I not tell you?
Oh yes, you did.
Did you forget?
I didn't forget. I simply didn't care to remember.
Mademoiselle, you have such a wicked tongue on you. You should be careful or it will turn black.
Lillian used to tell me that too.
Kit Kat.
Kit Kat. Hello? Hello?
He died.
Sorry.
Constance
No,
got to the
no.
spell.
Keyboard fell. Okay. Then you should have listened to her.
If I had listened to her, there would have been no reason for Mother to fire her. Are you stupid? Are you stupid?
No, I'm just
I may be
French.
stupid, but at least I'm not dumb.
I may be stupid. I may be French, but at least I'm not stupid. Oh, well,
Poor Kit Kat.
Miss Amy's pale cheeks flushed. 2 twin apples blossomed beneath the surface of her skin.
That's a funny visual.
Once upon a time, Miss Amy's skin had been a healthy bronze hue. After being subjected to the dreary, rainy, drizzly English weather for more than 4 months, however, her skin had lost much of its shine. Or maybe it wasn't the weather. Maybe it was Lady Constance. That was definitely it.
dealing with.
She's literally actually like a soul-sucking demon. Like,
Yeah.
actually. All of a sudden,
It
I've rather
steals
lost my
the sun.
appetite.
Lady Constance turned her nose up at the plate of biscuits, her hands planted on her hips. So dramatic.
If you like them so much, Amy, you can have them, but I won't touch a single crumb. I hate the French.
Oh, mademoiselle, how must be so difficult? These biscuits are really delicious, I promise. I swear, as a genuine Frenchwoman.
And in case you hadn't realized, I am sick and tired of French.
Constance does not talk to French people. But
I am not a French child. I am an English one. There's no reason for me to study your language or eat your food or converse with your people.
what do you mean by your people?
Somebody's gonna clip that out of context
Oh
one
god.
day.
Yeah, I'm gonna get cancelled. I can't laugh at this.
My people, mademoiselle?
Listen, what
Yes,
happens in the
your
Patreon
people.
chat stays in the Patreon chat.
Until it gets put on YouTube.
Yep.
Yes, your people. You're not like me. I'm not like you, and I don't like you or your silly Simberg ways.
I do not like your green eggs and ham.
You try to get on my good side telling me stories about your childhood like you and I are the same. We are not the same. We are not friends. Lillian might have been a stick in the mud, but at least she had basic understanding of social etiquette. She never once overstepped her boundaries.
Racist Victorian-era child.
Even the stupid maid would be preferable company to you.
Mademoiselle,
Enough.
Lady Constance got to her feet. The legs of her chair scraped across the floor. The sound was grating. It made Lorena wince.
I'm tired. I'm going to retire to my bedroom.
But your lessons
Retire from life, please.
Are over.
they are not over until I say they are over.
Oh, so now you wish to be a responsible adult, do you? Well, it's rather too late for that. This girl is wicked.
Mademoiselle,
I am not a mademoiselle. I am an English lady until you start addressing me by my correct title. I refuse to sit down and go through a single French verb with you ever again.
but what shall I say to your mother?
Fuck you, Mom! I don't want to learn French! Tell her you're incompetent. Tell her that you're incompetent. I want nothing to do with you. That should settle matters.
This is actually what Hannah wants to do with Kit Kat.
No! This is not true.
French in the trash.
I repeat, the characters I voiced do not represent my beliefs.
So saying, the young girl exited her drawing room. The door slammed shut behind her. Dust motes swirled about in the air, unsettled by Lady Constance's performance. Lorena could see them if she squinted, barely visible in the golden sunlight that streamed through the open window. The velveteen curtains fluttered in the breeze. Miss Amy meanwhile groaned. She ran a hand through her rose-red hair.
Oh goodness, what am I to do with her?
She sniffled. It sounded for a few moments that she was on the verge of tears, but upon remembering Lorena, Miss Amy sniffed, and the moment passed.
I apologize. I did not mean to drag you into such an unpleasant situation.
You didn't do anything.
Oh, it's quite alright. It was probably my fault. I'm not sure how, but according to Lady Constance, most things are my fault, so...
Guys, it's both of your fault.
How dare you?
Oh dear.
A wan smile tugged at the corners of Miss Amy's lips. It wasn't much of a smile, but it was something.
I do worry about Mademoiselle. She can be docile at times, but she flies into a range at the smallest provocations. And always she seems to be scheming.
You hadn't had the pleasure of meeting any other little girls like her?
Oh goodness gracious, no. Oh my god. Oh goodness gracious, no. None of my students in Palermo give me so much trouble. And the Italians are supposed to be passionate.
Passionate is one word for it.
Oh, Mademoiselle.
Miss Amy shook her head.
It would be easy to dislike her, but I do pity the poor creature.
Destroy the creature.
I really wonder, like, what her parents are like.
Yeah. You pity her? Why?
I can't say for sure, but I have always had the idea that she can't be a very happy child. If she was happy, she wouldn't be so difficult.
Are we gonna get a
He's
Lady
just a
Constance
demon.
redemption arc?
I hope so.
You might have a point.
You, on the other hand, are a very sweet girl indeed. I wonder why Mademoiselle always singles you out.
If she
Because
stops
she has
being
big
annoying,
boobs.
if she stops being annoying, I'll have to get someone else to voice her. You on the
Hannah,
other
you're
hand,
too annoying.
I'll use a voice filter.
you on the
You
other
on the-
hand are a very sweet. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Dren
You, on
wants
the
to
other
read
hand,
more.
are a very sweet girl indeed. I wonder why Mademoiselle always singles you out.
Maybe it's because I'm the newest maid here. I try not to think about it too much, but Lorena picked up the plate of French biscuits that had caused so much chaos. It seems like such a waste.
The 5-second rule. Indeed, they're good biscuits. French biscuits always are.
It's a shame Lady Constance is too pig-headed to admit it.
In the end, it's her loss, you know.
A mischievous smile that somehow seemed quintessentially European tugged at the corners of Miss Amy's lips.
You're a gay smile. Those biscuits would have been thrown away otherwise. You might as well help yourself.
Oh
If
no,
only-
I couldn't.
If only there was a exotic brunette here to enjoy the biscuits with me.
With a very European smile. But you can, I insist.
It wouldn't be proper. I'm just a maid, and
I am inviting you to eat. As you said, it would be a horrible waste, and I do so want to share my country with somebody who cares about it.
well, if you're so sure. Miss Amy didn't need to coerce Lorena any further. After a quick, furtive glance behind her shoulder, the young maid finally decided to help herself. The biscuits were like nothing she had tasted before. They all but melted across her tongue, soft and sweet, and so very, very delicious. Okay,
That's perfect timing.
17th of April. I think I'll save here.
Wait, you don't save throughout the game? That's scary.
No. I guess I should be. Alright, I can overwrite this one. Come to think of it, yeah, I Alt F4'd when my mom came to my door, and I could have just nuked all my progress if the game let me Alt F4. So,
Oof.
alright, alright.
Just let your mom raid
Sorry?
with us.
Yeah. I don't know if she's subscribed to my second channel. I know she's subscribed to my main channel, but
Hopefully not
I
to
don't
the
know.
second channel.
yeah. Alright, thanks for watching, and thanks for reading. It's a big
Gonna
help for me.
Thank you.
Put the list I made into the stream
Sorry?
chat.
Wait,
for
what was that?
That's
further
actually very
notices.
useful.
Yeah,
Can I-
actually, let me pin that.
I would say I don't. Can I? I would say I do have pinning powers.
Yeah.
I think it should be correctly, at least for most
Wait,
of it.
I'm also Ada.
Ah.
Oh, here,
Ada
let
Wong.
me copy it and
Yeah.
paste it and then edit it.
No, Ada is in there. It's not
wait,
sorted.
Yeah. It's right there.
Oh my gosh, now you're joining.
Wait, where is it? Oh, okay, got it.
I can sort it for who's playing who.
Wait, who joined? Spaz joined. You missed everything.
He's gone. He joined and literally disappeared right
Yeah.
away.
Well, I did not want to
Alright.
send the message.
Alright, talk to you later, guys. I might stream some more
Bye-bye.
later. Well, not this game. I might stream something else later. I'm not sure. But, alright, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.